So I'm gonna start it here. Let me see, because I got a link, so I'm making sure so if my phone can see it, everyone can see it.
Oh, okay.
So let's see here. How we looking on YouTube here? Man, YouTube gets confusing sometimes.
I bet.
Checking this out. Let's see. Are we good? Let's see here. All right, looks like we are rolling. Let me see. So if my phone can see it, everyone can see it. Okay, yeah, we're rolling. We're good. Sorry,
Oh,
that was
okay.
a weird introduction, but that's not how I wanted to start an introduction. But I guess that's how we're gonna start it. Well,
Okay.
anyways, this is the first time I'm doing a dual conference, so I apologize everyone for that start. But here we got Coach E, one of my favorite coaches from back in my playing days. How you doing, Coach?
Doing well, man.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. RP now. How is that going?
You know what? It's a great school. They're really pushing academics. That's one of the biggest things that we have to make sure that our kids, anybody's kids, looks to the future. Football is only a stepping stone to where you want to get to.
Right.
RP, I believe, is a small campus, small classrooms. So it really focuses on the kids to when they do get to the next level, which whether be football or just education period, they can actually handle the academic requirements that they have in college. I'm not saying that they can't do it in the bigger schools out in the high desert, but we're talking about maybe about sometimes 23 kids per classroom opposed to 30 to 35 kids per classroom. That's a huge difference when it comes to the teacher and student interactions.
Right.
I like it. I like it so much that one of my own kids attends there. He doesn't play football, but he just attends RP. And me talking to the teachers, not just for my son, but for my student athletes, our student athletes, they really focus on that one-on-one with those kids. So I like RP, not just based on the academic standpoint, but what the front office, the AD, the principal is trying to do moving forward. So I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
Awesome. Yes. And now that's a really good topic. I want to cover that. But first we gotta, go back in time, back to
Okay.
younger Coachy, back to the younger days. So from what I remember, I think the first trace of you I got is I think I don't know, I don't believe it was your first start, but the first time I ever seen you, well, not ever seen you, but ever heard of you coaching was over there, well, over here by at Silverado. Is that correct?
Yes. So if we're gonna go back in time, we run a time machine here. So let's go back to where it all started. So I don't know if you heard a guy named Eddie Davis. Everybody in the high desert called him Big Boo.
I
Um,
I don't believe I
the,
have. Yeah, I don't believe I
okay,
have.
so Eddie Davis, he was a part of Junior American organization. He started the Victory Valley Cowboys, but before then, it started with the Atlanta Rebels. So I really got my first coaching job coaching for Eddie Davis, also known as Big Boo or Boo. So I started coaching for him, and I started maybe a couple of years went on, and then a lot of the kids that we were coaching at the Atlanta Rebels were going over to Silverado.
Right.
So one of the kids that I coached from the Victor Valley Cowboys, from Atlanta Rebels, Victor Valley Cowboys, same owner, which is Davis, Eddie Davis, Coach Davis, went to Silverado, which is Richie Mendoza,
Right.
and his dad, Coach Mo. I'm sure you remember Coach Mo.
Yes, Coach Mo. Yes.
Coach Mo, yes, Coach Mo to Coach Posey and said, "Hey, if you're looking for coaches, I know this guy was speaking about me, and he wants to coach high school football or whatnot." So I went to speak to Coach Posey. That's at Silverado High School,
Right.
and after an interview that he and I had, he said, "Hey, you know what? I think you can fit right in with us, and we're looking for good people, and you can plug right in." So my first year, high school year coaching was coaching for Coach Posey at Silverado, and it got me by surprise because my very first year he gave me the offensive coordinator job for JV,
Right.
and going from youth football, that's really where I started first, going youth football, to going to high school football and being an offensive coordinator at a JV program at Silverado, which they play some pretty good program. Like Cucamonga,
Yeah.
Big Valley, Barstow. It was very humbling for me
Hmm.
because at the junior American level, at the JA level, what happens is if you get a couple of guys that are great at playing, then it really makes your job easier as a coach because you look like a genius.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But now when you go to high school level, you really have to do your due diligence because there's a lot of athletes there. And you really have to watch film, you really have to break down film, and you really actually have to coach those kids. And being an offensive coordinator, I was running back coach for JV. So the biggest focus that I had was how can I make this young man who's a sophomore be ready to play varsity at any given time?
Right.
And that's really what it is, son, is, when you go to Junior American, you really have to, any coaching program you begin with,
Right.
you have to train and develop the kids so that they're ready to step up and play at any given time.
Right.
If you spend too much time on one athlete and you don't have the same amount of attention,
Mhm.
what's going to happen when this young athlete hurt, God forbid, something happens,
Mhm.
and the number two guy steps in and doesn't know anything? So you as a coach, you've actually failed, that young man. So answer your question going back, yes, I started at Silverado for Coach Posey. Wonderful man. Great guy.
Awesome.
Great guy. Yes.
That's great. And so, I mean, I don't say it personally because I've never experienced it, but I mean, Silverado alone, I mean, it's one. I don't want to call anybody out or anybody, but I know that the school has a bad reputation for campus stuff. So how do you make sure your athletes? Well, how did you make sure your athletes were not involved in any fights, any illegal deals or anything like that? What? How do you bring that into the table?
Well, so first and foremost, the coaching staff, the head coach, which Coach Posey did a great job, and a lot of head coaches I coach for did a good job, is you want to surround yourself with people that have the same mentality or the same view as you do. So Coach Posey really emphasized on character. So what are you doing when nobody's watching, right? So that's one thing he emphasized. So he wanted coaches who are like-minded like him, who want to make sure that these young men develop to be successful in the future, to be successful in anything. So going back to the question you're asking for is, we get these young men in the summertime, sometimes spring ball in summertime. So you have, let's say, maybe a month and a half to develop these young men, to have the mentality of saying, hey, you know what? The school can be rough sometimes. Don't get involved in any fights. We want to make sure that you sit in front of the class to make sure that you actually pay attention to your schoolwork, pay attention to the classroom. And you're not only representing yourself, you're representing the football program.
Right.
So if you're representing the football program, that means that if you get in a fight as a student athlete, you're making your brotherhood look bad. So with Coach Posey, going back to Coach Posey, he would make a comment, or he would make comments to the kids during practice. What's the difference between a man and a boy? And a man takes care of responsibilities,
Right.
And so that's what we would try to instill in these young men is like we want to develop character. We want to make sure that they have everything they need to be successful, at least in the classroom. So Coach Posey will make his round of phone calls to the teachers, or hey, what's going on? I'm noticing that you might have some trouble with such and such. What can we do as a coaching program, or for you, teacher, to help your life easier because you got 30 kids in the classroom. So sometimes it was tough. A lot of these young men that you coach, and it really, I have to believe is this: a lot of young men that you coach, um, the lifestyle they come from, sometimes is rough. So you have to be able to understand that first and foremost, and try to take them out of the environment to, hey, you know what? When you're with us, man, let your guard down a little bit. Some of these young men come from a single family home, whether it be either no father or no mother absent and whatnot. So you really have to put yourself in a situation to where it's, the minute you step in this football program, you are now family. It doesn't matter if it was a Silverado, Atlanta, Excelsior, or Riverside Prep. Um, so you really want to make sure that these young men understand is football is only a stepping stone.
Right.
You're representing not just the school, but you're representing your last name in the football program.
Yeah.
And if you surround yourself, like majority of the head coaches do, with like-minded coaches who want to instill responsibility, character, then it makes it easier for you as a coach when you got good people around you who are like-minded to train, develop these young men mentally to be successful and not want to run to a fight, whenever they see something. So it can be tough.
Right.
It can be tough.
It can be tough. Yeah.
But you
Definitely.
know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off there, but Serrano has a bad rap only because the newspapers um, report on such things. But if you look at, they have great teachers on staff, But if you notice, a lot of the kids that have there are valedictorians who are going to big universities on academic scholarships.
Oh yeah.
So I think that what happens is because unfortunately sometimes negative news sells.
Hmm.
They sell those negative news opposed to the good news.
Definitely. Yeah. And like how you said it, they have a lot of good people there. I mean, because my cousin graduated from there. I think it was around
Okay.
2017. So, we went there and I actually saw, everybody thinks the Asian kid or the white American kid, they always look down on the African American. But I saw an African American get at least, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 awards. And I'm like, this man right here is going places. You know, you're like, people always look down on him, but I believe that, everyone deserves a fair chance. And, I'm glad that Silverado is giving that man a fair chance. And I know he's doing great things right now as we speak.
Yeah, you know what? Unfortunately, the stereotypes, that's just from people. People like you mentioned, hey, you know what, African American communities or Asian communities, whatnot. But it really falls down on the kid and also too on the upbringing. But also importantly, it has to do with the teacher on campus that wants to interact with kids. Sometimes a kid can be rough, only because of his upbringing. Some of the kids, if you talk to them a certain way, they tend to shut down.
Right.
And you might have a teacher, who's been doing it for so many years or whatnot, and everybody's allowed to have a bad day.
Yeah.
But it's just, I mean, you have a lot of students who are, who are of all cultures, nationalities, who are above a 3.5 GPA kid.
Yeah.
And what happens is, you only hear about the ones who are about 4.5 GPA go to Harvard. Okay, but what about that kid who's got a 2.5 or 3.0, who's creating, web apps, who's going to school on a football scholarship, tennis scholarship, whatever scholarship they have, to make, to do wonders. I mean, we don't hear about those kids, unfortunately.
Right. We don't. It's very sad. Very sad. I know.
Yeah.
But they're gonna do a lot of big things. Trust me. I believe it.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, Coach Keyron there is at Silverado, and Before him was Coach Gennaro and Coach Posey, of course. But Coach Gennaro and Coach Keyron, I mean, they're both great guys. Coach Keyron is a wonderful guy, and once again, we're talking about like-minded coaches, right?
Right.
Coach Keyron is, he's a guy with big faith, so he surrounded himself with a bunch of coaches who are like-minded,
Awesome.
and so they're doing great things over there. Doing great things over there.
So now let's bring it back to over here football. So a lot of I mean, a lot of players. I say a lot of players. I'm not just talking about Silverado. I'm talking about Apple Valley, Adelanto, Victor Valley, any school around here. A lot of athletes, even around the state. I believe like when I look at it, a lot of these athletes, and I trust you. You can tell me the same thing because me and you we've been here before together. But if you look at these athletes, when they're down by only a little bit, they never put their heads down, right?
Right. Well, I mean, so you're talking about Apple Valley and all these kids from like say Silverado or whatnot.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you want to have to understand is Apple Valley might be a different demographic than Silverado or whatnot. But we're all in the high desert. All these young men are part of the high desert programs. A lot of these young men know each other,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, I've met coaches from Apple Valley. Coach Rohrball is a wonderful man, God-fearing man. Almost step outside because it's a beautiful day here. So I'm gonna step outside. Um, and so a lot of these young men know each other. So now what happens, yo, is that this young man grew up playing and they play each other. Things tend to get rough because the hits get harder because they know each other, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, so I don't. A lot of these things that happen in the high desert with certain programs, whatnot. I mean, I just think once again going back to bad news reporting, everyone wants reporting bad things, but a lot of the schools up here are great schools.
Agreed. Yes, they are. So, for you as a coach, to say you're down, I don't know, maybe 21-0, only the second quarter. What are you doing to your athletes? What are you telling your athletes right there and then? I know that nothing's working for you. You're going everywhere in the playbook. What are you telling your athletes? I know you're frustrated, but how do you make sure that you make that frustration into a motivation for those athletes to try to do a little more better, during the second half or to finish out the quarter?
Well, okay, now let's talk about 21-0 now. If we're going 21-0 and we can't move the ball, first and foremost, we have to look at the coaching standpoint. If we're 21-0 and we're down by 3 touchdowns, that's telling me one thing is we're not preparing the kids good enough, well enough to actually come in on Friday night.
Right.
And if you remember Coach Rivera would say, I'm not going to yell at you on Friday night because that's telling me that I'm not doing a good job Monday, Thursday.
Right.
And so what we would tell our kids is look, we got to make adjustments. We see certain things aren't working. So we're going to look to the coaching staff. We're going to make certain play adjustments, maybe position adjustments. But we're also, most importantly, is you're asking the question is, what do we tell our kids? Okay, when you start having fun, you're not having fun. You're worried about missing a tackle. You're worried about scoring the big home run play. So you heard the cliche of football is a game of inches or yards.
Yep.
So if we're a running team, let's get 2.5, 3 yards carry.
Right.
Let's do that. I
Mhm.
mean, so don't worry about the big bang. Don't worry about the huge impact plays you're gonna have. Worry about, do your job.
Right.
Don't worry about your brother next to you. Do your job.
Right.
And that's I think what happens is we have to understand one thing is if we're down 21-0, what do we do as a coaching staff Monday through Thursday to be down this much? Now, if you're talking to me that we're 21-0 at the first quarter,
Mhm.
I believe that it's all for coaching. Now, if we're 21-0 for 3 quarters going into the fourth, I believe there and then is, young man, look, you're thinking too much.
Right.
we're moving the ball, but we're at the 10-yard line and we can't score. I mean, maybe we're not calling the right plays. There's a lot of things that can go on in a football game if we down 21-0. But most importantly is, I mean, there's a lot of things in the locker room that get said that I can't say here, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Yeah.
man, play football. I mean, obviously, you know that because you're in the locker room.
Oh yeah, definitely. I heard you. I
Yeah.
heard Coach
So
Rivera.
it's
You guys
right, Coach Rivera. See, and that's another great man. Is Coach Rivera's a great guy.
always, definitely.
Yeah. So I believe it's most importantly is we're not having fun out there, guys. We're not having fun out there. So everybody's and you've heard it before is have fun, enjoy yourself. This might be the last Friday night game you're playing.
Right.
And this is the way you want to go out, then you can live with it the rest of your life, and you probably are.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you can do is just have fun out there.
Right, absolutely. No, I agree with you. You're right. You're right.
All right. So now that we're off Silverado, we're going to Excelsior now. I mean, was that your second? Well, as a high school coach, that was your second stop, right?
Yes. So I did. You remember Miss Evans, Jennifer Evans? She was AD there, a wonderful lady. So her son used to play for Silverado,
Okay.
Robert Evans, and I knew then because I coached him at the junior American level. Once again, that was the kids that I coached and went to the high school level. So this kid was a big kid. He was a 6'5" kid, 6'6", 260 playing tight end.
Right.
So at that time, I was coaching. I was coaching a freshman at that time. He also coached Gennaro.
Yeah.
So Coach Poe did the JV for Gennaro did the freshman squad. So I would go on Friday nights to actually watch the varsity game, and I would sit next to Mr. Evans and Mrs. Evans, which is Robert Evans' family. And Miss Evans every now and again would say, "Hey, you know what? I got the AD job at Excelsior. How do you like it here?" I said, "I love it here. Silverado's great." But it wasn't, Miguel, it wasn't until my son, I started realizing that he started falling behind in class.
Yeah.
And now we talk about the classroom sizes, right? So at Silverado, 30 kids per class, sometimes, 33 kids per class. So some kids don't do very well with the big environment in the school, and that was one of my son. So I decided to move my son from Silverado to Excelsior.
Right.
And that's when I started coaching Excelsior because my son was playing football at Excelsior. And so that's when I started. And that was with Coach Rivera. Coach Rivera gave my interview. And see, now going from Silverado to Excelsior was a huge transition because you're talking about linemen at Silverado who are maybe 6'4", 6'3" kids to Excelsior who, 6'2", maybe 5'11".
Yeah.
So it's a huge transition. And then you're talking about the number wise. At Silverado, maybe 80 kids on program. And Excelsior, I mean, how many do we have, Miguel? Maybe we had maybe 40 kids, and that's all levels. It was tough sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
It was tough, but yeah. My second stop was at Excelsior. Correct.
That's great. Yeah, you needed a save for your son right there. And I think that was a good save right there. Now he's doing great things.
And Coach Rivera, man, I mean, you learn so many things from each coach that you coach with, and coaching for Coach Rivera, that's where I got the lesson is if I'm yelling at you, consistently yelling at you on a Friday night, then me as a coach, I failed you Monday through Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and then you know what too is, a lot of people don't realize, even at Riverside Prep or at Excelsior, these smaller programs, when a young man goes down an injury or whatever the case may be, it may be a huge fallout. I don't mean to say that way, but we don't have the numbers that Silverado does, or Atlanta does, or Apple Valley, to where it's Apple Valley might have 40 kids on roster on varsity, and at Excelsior, when I was coaching for Coach Rivera, I think maybe we had 15 kids on varsity.
Right.
and those kids went both ways. So guess what happens when one of those kids get injured? We got to put up a freshman or a
Yeah.
sophomore who's of age and actually playing. So now it becomes really tough, you know. Putting those kids in a tough situation is it's pretty rough.
Definitely. I mean, for you as a coach, I mean, I didn't come into at least like the end, the start of the 2000, maybe it was the end of the 2015 season. I remember it's around there. But, when I first met you, I think like I think you were a great coach. I think you were a well developed coach back then because, you were already there, You're just always calm. I mean, the only things like, I don't want to call you out or anything, but I think the only time you will yell was like when those stupid mistakes. I mean, that's every coach's. That's one of their problems. I
Yeah,
mean, if you're making a big mistake on Friday night that you're not doing in practice, then we have a huge problem with that right there. And that's the only time I see you yell.
yeah, and you know what? And at Excelsior, any program, as a matter of fact, when a young man is making the same mistake consistently, and you know you covered it, you know, Monday through Wednesday, because Thursday is actually a walkthrough.
Right.
Now you're thinking too much now. Now you're thinking too much of a certain play, and you're trying to do someone else's job and not doing your job.
Right.
Some of those situations, I mean, you know, at Excelsior, I was coaching offensive line. So how many times did you hear me getting Lancaster's butt? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Or JC. I mean, I'm sure JC got a handful, a mouthful of me. Even Lancaster. Lancaster will tell you. I rode him hard. Even Belcher. I rode him hard because I've always told him is I expect a lot from you and I expect more from you
Right.
because I know you can do it. I mean,
Exactly.
you have to at times have to carry the load for you're the offensive line. You have to carry the load for this team.
Right.
Without you, we can accomplish nothing. So
Exactly.
yes, Miguel, there is times on Friday night that yeah, you know that Walker. I mean, I will get pretty wild.
Oh yeah. Wow, Coach E. I think I was afraid of you the most. I was like, oh no, I don't want to make a mistake in front of him. You gave me the red hand right there.
You know, and that's also a bad thing on my part. Maybe I should probably tone it down a little bit.
Oh no, no. I think you're doing an actually good job. Don't be afraid to
Thank
show
you.
emotions on the Friday night or you know any type of day.
Yeah, but you know, you also, as a coach and as a mentor to a lot of these kids, a lot of these young men react on how you react. So a lot of these young men are going to react and carry themselves on and off the field based on their coach.
Right.
So you don't want to show your emotion. You don't want to wear your emotion too much on your sleeve because what's going to happen is if you do that, then if your players see you come unglued often, guess what's going to happen with the referee? Or guess what's going to happen? Once again, we'll go back to the word character. What's
Yep.
going to happen with this young man when he's in the store and he sees his coach consistently being unglued? What is the first thing he's going to do?
Oh yeah.
He's going to make sure, or not make sure, but he's going to react to the way his coach is reacting because we spend so much time with these student athletes that that's what he sees.
Right.
So we have to make sure that we're cool, calm, and collected. There's a time and a place to put your foot up some kid's ass to get on Friday night to play ball. And some of these kids, you know that they require it
Yeah.
to get motivated,
Exactly.
but not all the time. Not all the time.
Not all the time. Yeah. Definitely. Not all the time, but only when it's necessary.
Calling me out, boy. Calling me out. Right, right,
Only when it's necessary.
right.
So okay.
Correct. And you know what? Go ahead.
Oh no. So I'm saying like, all right. So I don't know. I know we said this already, but do you think it's necessary? I mean, because I've seen. I mean, not just you, but I've been watching high school football on YouTube and stuff. But no, and
Okay.
even NFL. I mean, when there's like there's a flag or something like you're not sure. You're still yelling at the referee. I mean, I haven't. I don't see you do it, but have you done that before? Have you yelled at a referee?
Yes. So at I give you the most recent one at Riverside Prep. We played Big Bear, and
Oh,
as you know, Riverside Prep has never beaten Big Bear. So this past season, we lost to Big Bear, I think by two or 3 points, and that's the closest that Riverside Prep has ever gotten to beating Big Bear.
Right.
So fourth quarter, we're running the ball. Our player fumbles.
Right.
Our player fumbles, and we see it. I know the sideline saw it. The opposite sideline saw it.
Right.
That we recovered the fumble, but the referee ruled it Big Bear's way. So at that point in time, because it's such an emotional game to begin with already, and I shouldn't have done this. I get on the referee. Hey, dude, I know you saw that. Make the play. But after as Miguel, after you going back and forth with the referee, you're not gonna change their mind because the call's already been made.
Exactly.
So me, getting rowdy or whatnot, it's not gonna change the outcome on it.
Right.
So that's one of the situations where you kind of have to watch out what you say because other young men are hearing it.
Right.
So we don't want that momentum or the negativity to carry on the next game and saying, "Well, Coach E is cursing the referee out. I can do it too." So no, that's not what we did. Yes, I got the referee here, but it wasn't to a point to where I became unglued. No, it's more of a, hey man, come on, dude, that was our ball. You know that. You
Right.
just cost us the game. In reality, you know this, I know this, and I told you this before. First quarter, you create tempo and take the race referees out of the game.
Right.
I mean, don't let them dictate the game. And in that game, honestly, we made a ton of mistakes, and I'm just glad that our boys competed well, and I'm sure Big Bear felt it. Big Bear was out with the victory, and but I told Big Bear, hey, well, we're not running away from nobody. We're coming back next year.
Whenever next year comes, right?
Oh my gosh! I mean, no kidding, right? This is terrible news, man.
You,
Oh,
you should guys be in the weight room already. Jeez.
we should be in the weight room. Yes, we should be in the weight room. We should be film from last year. We should be conditioning, just interacting with our student athletes because this is when it starts the next season.
Right.
And you go back to the question you asked me earlier: is how do you have a kid and stop him from navigating to violence on campus? Well, it starts now.
It starts
Right?
now.
You built that rapport. Yeah, it starts now. You built that rapport with that young man, and you grow with him and you mentor him. And these are the times that you spend time with him to make sure that, hey, you know what? Going back to Coach Posey would teach is what the difference between a man and a boy. And those situations you teach, when you're in a spring ball. Think about it right now. Right now, we should be in spring ball.
Yeah, definitely.
Man,
And
it's tough.
and so, okay, we're gonna bring it back because we're almost to. Don't worry, we're almost at Riverside Prep. I know
Okay,
you want to talk about Riverside Prep.
that's
Don't
fine.
worry,
It's okay.
we're almost there. Okay,
All
so
right.
this is where the action gets good. Okay, well,
Okay.
obviously I wouldn't say good because it happened like really, 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 really quick. But so I think 2017 was. I think me and you know that was one of our roughest years together.
Yeah.
A lot of things happened.
Trevor.
Yeah, we already
Yeah.
know.
So 2017 at Excelsior, the last year there. Sheesh, man. I mean, there was a lot of things going on at that time with Excelsior, at least, and I just felt that situation with the head coach. I mean, sometimes traveling for work environment, one other way the way the job was for him
Yeah.
was rough. So what happened is that he tried to do his best, whatever he could, to help me out, or to put his 2 cents in. But you remember, most of the time, I'd be in the weight room with Coach Cardoza, Coach Mo, Coach Mendoza, and we go to passing tournaments. We do so. To get to it is Coach Rivera wasn't there for a certain amount of time because he was because of the job situation. He was going to Georgia. He had a big position at his job. I think the regional manager for a warehouse for the entire West Coast at times. So a lot of the kids felt like, well, Coach Rivera isn't here. He's always gone. Um, but I told him all the time, look, Coach Rivera's still with us. I talk to him often. He will come, a few days out of the week and fly back to Georgia, I think it was.
Yeah.
I told him nothing ever changes. He's still the head ball coach. We're going through tough times right now. But we'll ride him out. And through all that, we still managed to go up to what was that school up there? Last game of the season, we were picked to lose at Excelsior, and we actually Silver Valley.
Yeah.
Remember that game? Silver Valley game.
Silver Valley, yes, I
Silver Valley
remember.
game. The newspaper picked us. Yes, they picked us to lose by double digits, and Coach Rivera had a heart attack. Remember that? Against Big Bear, as a matter of fact. This is how much of a pain in the butt Big Bear is, because they're so good, man. They're a machine up there.
Yeah.
Coach Rivera had a stroke against Big Bear,
Yeah, and
and it was tough, man.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but once you said that, I mean, I before the game, I knew this. I noticed that Coach Rivera was not looking fine. I even asked him after the game, "Are you all right, Coach?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll be fine." Right? And then I think that was the game where Coach Cedric came back, for the first time, after his time during recovery. It's his first time back on the field,
Yeah,
and I remember because he was like, "Hey, can you go get me a hot dog?" I'm like, "Yes, I'll get you a hot dog," because I didn't want him to miss out on the action. So I went to go get him a hot dog. I come back and I notice
right.
everybody and their mothers is crowding around in this big circle over here on our sideline. I'm like, "What the heck's going on?" Right? Over there, like, "Hey guys, what's going on?"
Yes.
Then someone's like, "We need an ambulance." I'm like, "Oh no, who got hurt?" Because I'm thinking it's one of our players, right? Because it's so close to our sideline.
Right.
And
Right.
then someone's like, "Coach Rivera's down. Coach Rivera's down." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And I was like, "Oh shoot, what
Yeah.
happened?"
Uh, that was definitely a scary moment because you're saying that when he came back, well, last thing I remember him doing is yelling at Derek. You remember Derek? Derek was a great athlete, but sometimes, he thought too much. He wanted to do more than was job when entitled. But Coach Rivera was yelling at him, Derek, Derek, just do your job. And the next thing I know is Coach Rivera was losing his balance and he fell over.
Oh wow.
So everybody's kind of freaking out that time. So I'm looking at him and I see Coach Rivera, you all right? You good? You all right? So now, Coach Wayman comes over, Coach Mo's around us, whatnot. Well, Coach Mo was up in the crow's nest, up in the booth.
Yeah.
So now it becomes like, oh my gosh, is he having a stroke? You don't know what's going on. So everybody holds around him. And Big Bear coaching staff, man, was so supportive. Big Bear coaching staff, I mean, I have so much tremendous respect for that, for those guys. After the game, not even after the game, after they hauled off Coach Rivera on the ambulance, we said a quick prayer, and the coach asked me, "Hey, it's okay if you guys don't win the team. I know it's a tough time for the kids." So I told the coach from Big Bear, "Hey, honestly, I think Coach Rivera will want us to finish the game, so let's finish it." And the kids played. We lost that game, but I mean, I would much rather us to play and compete and at least forget about it for another 2 quarters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Than to go home crying and consistently be worried about it. Because see, that's what happens with football and Walker is whatever happens going on in your life, it seems like whenever you turn on the television or you're playing a game, you forget about your problems for those 2.5 hours the game's going on.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what I was thinking. And that's kind of what Big Bear also was doing. Yeah, so it was tough, man. It was tough.
And that was the start of.
I mean, but
I wouldn't say officially, but that was your start as part of a head coaching gig. I would say.
yeah, you know what? Because yes, you're right. When Coach Rivera was gone, um, he entrusted me to put together practice programs, practice plans, and we still had to finish the season. So he told me, "Hey, Mario, this is you now. make sure you get involved with everything, and you hold your coaches accountable for for what they're doing, position wise and whatnot. Kind of what I was doing with Coach Vera anyway. Um, Coach Posey did the same thing. Hey, you know what? You're the OC for JV, so you got to make sure that everything is done per your game plan. So it's just, I guess, yeah, you can say that's when it started. But I believe coaching for Coach Posey was a very, um, I don't want to say demanding coach, but it was his program, Silverado. So he demanded a lot from you only because he wanted you to become at that position at some point.
Right.
So so the old saying goes is Moonwalker is you're only as good as the people around you. So you're not only training athletes, you're also helping the coaches around you, and you're learning from them also.
Right. And
Yeah.
was it a little extra work for you? I mean, I know that it probably was because now that you gotta help out. You gotta fill in the duties for the head coach while he's recovering. Does it come a little more anxiety, or does it give you more like of a oh, this is I don't know if I can do this yet. I'm not ready, or
Um, no, you know why? Because you're already preparing yourself for whatever may happen in the future anyway. Just like we talked about is when you have a football program, you got to make sure your number two is as good as your number one because if something happens, they have to plug and play. You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah,
So as a coach, you have to be aware of what's going on in the program.
right,
So you're watching. You spend months and months with this coach, this head coach, on how he runs his program run,
right,
so that in case he has to go away for business or something happens, something tragic happens,
right,
you step in and you fill his shoes and not miss a beat, right?
right,
So no, I wasn't nervous. I was building practice plans already for him, the way he wanted them and whatnot. He allowed me to do a twist here and there. So when he did, unfortunately, have the stroke, everything was pretty much just plug and play.
right, exactly.
Um, I think the most stressful part about it is getting this text. Hey, are you doing this? I'm like, man, can you relax and get healthy? Don't worry about us. We got this. I think that was the most anxiety I had. Is, look, dude, just go get healthy. Stop worrying about it. Stop texting. Stop asking me questions about football. Get healthy. Get healthy. I think that was the most anxiety I had with Coach Rivera because Coach Rivera was, think about it, he built Excelsior.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
he built the MMA championship. So I think it was hard for him to remove himself after all those years. So he was still part of the program, but it was more anxiety for me saying, Coach Rivera, can you please get healthy so you can come back to us?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that was part of it, but it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think he already knew that his time. I mean, was coming to just to lay down a position. Just to go to something simpler, so he's not putting himself in that position once again. I mean, we all knew it. I mean, it wasn't a shock when he announced the retirement. It was like, oh, we are. I mean, we already knew. Me and you both know that he was ready to step down just a few positions, just so he can just stay healthy and stay with the game he loves.
Right, and you know what? When he retired, I was at Atlanta. Remember that?
Yeah,
I left
Atlanta.
Excelsior to go to Atlanta, and when he retired, I think that's the year we won the CIF championship at Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I was actually pretty shocked. Excuse me, I wasn't shocked because of his health, and also too, I think he saw the writing on the wall that he wanted to step down and kind of move away from Excelsior.
Yeah.
But it was more of a shock because he was such an impact to a lot of the kids at Excelsior
Hmm.
that you kind of hate to see a guy go.
Yeah.
Because honestly, coaching at a small school like Excelsior, the coach that you get, you have to make sure that he understands the environment he's stepping into.
Yeah.
Coach Rivera did a wonderful job of managing the environment because at Excelsior, it wasn't always on campus classes. It was at homeschooling also.
Yeah.
Because it was charter
Definitely.
school.
Charter school.
Yeah, so it was hard for some people, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was tough, because you're coaching a team for many years, and then you're like, your body knows when it's time to step it down a notch or just entirely just
Yeah,
retire.
yeah. You know what? And also too is I think that well, not think, but I know. I mean, you spend so much time away from your actual family
Hmm.
uh, that you have to have a supporting cast at home, your wife, your kids. Because if you think about it, you know this as well as anybody else. Monday through Thursday, we have football practice. We don't get home sometimes till 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
We dinner with our kids, we sleep. The next morning, we go to work, come back to football practice, and then on Friday night, we don't get home sometimes till midnight.
Oh,
Right
yeah, definitely.
now remember, at Excelsior with Coach Rivera, we had to come back the next morning at 9 a.m. To watch film study on Saturday. So now we spend more time away from my family. So after a while, I think that wears on you.
Hmm.
And some coaches say, you know what, man, I think it's enough is enough. I've done this for many years. I think it's time for me to step down.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't mean to call anybody out. I mean, much respect to Coach, Moore and Coach Odom, but I just believe that those. I mean, really love that man, Coach Odom. Respect to him, but honestly, I just feel like they're not on that level where they understand how like this program is. Like you had a long time successor coach, and you see him go. So a lot of the athletes are just they just don't want to play the same because they don't want to be introduced to something different. They want to be coached the same way. And a lot of these athletes came back, watching Excelsior program, or they're just coming, down from different schools, and they heard, they're looking at Excelsior for some lucky reason, and it's different.
Well, you know what? And then a lot of the stuff is not really on it's not all on the coaches, to be truly honest with you. Going back to when I was talking about Riverside Prayer, why I like it so much is going back to the AD, Coach Snyder. Um, the front office, the principal. I mean, man, I mean, what can you say about those guys? I mean, Coach Snyder really wants to have Riverside Prep be a contender in football.
I can tell.
You know, so what happens is when your principal is behind you 100%, when the AD is behind you 100%, when the teachers are behind you 100%, I'm talking about Riverside Prep.
Right.
They want you to see do well. Then as a coaching staff, you want to perform well. Now going to Coach Odom, um, I'm not saying that it was and wasn't, but you heard rumors around, rumbling that the program was going to fold at times.
Hmm.
The program was going to be stepping away from football. I mean, the school was. So when you have rumblings around that, I mean, try to imagine trying to coach around that environment.
Oh yeah.
Consistently having to ask the front office, hey, are we going to have a football program next week? Or what's going to happen? So really what I'm trying to say is when you have a supporting cast around you, like Principal Titus does at Riverside Prep, it makes it easier. Now, when your front office, or when your administration, I should say, is not behind you 100%, as a coach, head coach, I think Coach Odom might have felt alone sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I'm not saying that's what happened, but I mean the rumors were out there that now Excelsior doesn't have a football program anymore. So now you kind of imagine trying to compete against that, and it's kind of rough, son. It's
it
pretty
is.
rough. So I felt bad for Coach Odom.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like I'm not saying anything bad about the coaching staff around him. I think he hired a great staff, but I think some of the coaching staff that was left behind, I mean, some of those coaches, just did not play a good influence.
Well, and
Like
I
you said,
wasn't
it was
there.
by
I wasn't
backing
there
and
around
supporting.
them. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't there around them, so I really can't comment on what they did or how they did things.
Mhm.
I just know that uh, whenever Riverside Prep and Excelsior played each other,
Yeah.
um, there was not say bad blood, but it was a big rivalry for us.
Yeah.
Excelsior would be, Excelsior would often say, rest in peace, RP. You know what I mean? RIP, remember that? RIP, RP. So now that was just a slogan. That was a thing they said, but it becomes a rivalry. So now, the hits get harder, a little trash talking here and there, but that's not nothing that the coaches influence. That's just the kids being hyped. But like, to answer your question, I wasn't there uh, to see how they were coaching those young men. So I mean, it's pretty tough though. I'll tell you that much. To see that program kind of dwindle away and eventually go away, that sucks.
Right. It is. So now we're gonna go to Atlanta. Your next
Oh
stop
goodness.
before RP. I know we're so close to Riverside Prep. We're excited. You're so excited. I know. So Atlanta,
Uh-huh.
really, just wow, just one season dropping like really really bad, to really really bad schools, and then the next year you're just shocking, beating those same schools by the numbers. I'm like, okay, I know that Coach Mario had something to do with this, though. Let's start with the ending of you know the terrible 1-9 season.
Okay,
How did that go? Like,
let's
how do you go from 1-9 to like 9-1? I'm like, I don't even know how that's even possible. That's more than a rebuild.
well, okay. So now, um, to be fair on Coach Raines, because that's who I coached for first. Okay,
Yeah.
it's Coach Raines at Atlanta, and only reason why I took that job is because Coach Rivera was going to leave Excelsior. I felt the next following season, right, or a couple of seasons go on. I mean, that's when the issues at Excelsior really started to happen,
Yeah.
and I saw the writing on the wall, and it was time for me to move on.
Yeah.
And Coach Raines and I coached together at Silverado on the Coach Posey.
Yeah.
So we had a great relationship already.
Right.
He called me and asked me, "Look, I really need somebody like-minded, so I want you to coach me." Great. So I went there, and he hired me as the offensive line coach for varsity.
Right.
And you want to talk about going 1-9, man? That was tough. And I think what happens is um, we're going into a school. You got to keep in mind, Milwaukee, that Atlanta was talented, but the problem is that it's a big school with maybe I think 1,800 kids on campus. But since the school was doing so bad in football, kids did not want to come out and play.
Exactly.
Coach Blaze it's a first year coach, so the only returns we had were the juniors coming back as seniors. And even then, I think we only had, I'm not exaggerating, I think we had 18 kids on varsity.
18.
And 18 kids on varsity. So think about it this way: we're playing schools um, like Silverado, right, who's loaded on varsity. Victor Valley, that year they were pretty decent. Barstow, who runs double wing and is running effective, right? Consistently kicking our butt. We play Apple Valley, and Apple Valley is a machine. Apple Valley came and just pounded us, man.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I mean, not
You
saw it,
know
but
what?
I saw the score. Yeah, I kept up with the
Yeah,
score. Yeah.
right. So now, imagine playing all those schools with only 18 kids on varsity,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of those kids are playing both ways because they are. By the time the second half comes or whatnot, they just get beat down, tired, and so on. But I also believe that because of the kids not knowing who Coach Raines was or the seasons behind before he took over, they weren't very successful. But the kids didn't want to come out and play. Now, when Coach Raines was let go, remember Coach Wadu came in,
Yeah.
and Coach Wadu is a tremendous guy, man.
Oh yeah, I met
He's
that
a real
man.
good guy. Yeah, I mean, he's an awesome dude, man. I mean, you're talking about a guy who wants to build a program and wants to make sure the kids go to the next level and actually make sure the kids are successful at the next level. That's him. So, only reason why I came back is because Jimmy Hendricks, Coach Hendricks, his offensive coordinator said, "Hey, let's keep this guy, Coach E, and then everybody else got let go." So I became the offensive line guy again for Coach Hendricks because he was the offensive coordinator for Coach Wadu as being head coach. And that year, because Coach Wadu originally came from Oak Hills,
Right.
and when he went to Atlanta, there was a big movement saying, hey, you know what? The kids on campus started saying, hey, Coach Wadu, we got a guy from Oak Hills, coach. Kids on campus said, you know what? Let's go out and play football now. So now it was something. We went from 18 kids, to having X amount of kids play, and then there was transfers involved. Not that he did, but it was just kids, different programs left, and they came back to Atlanta. And that's one thing people don't realize is people are saying, well, you know what, Coach Wadu, he recruits or he does this, he does that. How can you recruit the same kid that left to go play at Oak Hills and came back to Atlanta or his home school, right?
Right.
So I'm not saying any bad about Oak Hills or Apple Valley or whatnot. I mean, those programs are machines up here, but a lot of those kids came home to play, and you go from 1-9 to losing to Silverado. That's the only game we lost.
Yeah.
To be in El Monte, which thought that was a great game,
Yeah. I believe.
and then yeah, that was a good game. But yeah, it was very humbling, son, to go 1-9.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It sucked.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
I remember that. I think it was before I went back. I mean, because I took some time off from football because I was really much in pain from all the time. So I'm like, I need some time away from the hitting. I told Coach Rivera I need some time off. I know I'm gonna get a decrease in playing time, but I still wanna I still wanna come back. Just don't count me out yet. I mean, I still want to come back. Play part of my senior season. Just to say I played at least 4 years. So. But one of the games because it was a away game at Yucca Valley, I was like, oh man, I can't go over there because I don't have my stuff ready for that. I had to get my physical and stuff like that. So I was like, I told my dad, hey, Coach E's coach, Atlanta, why don't we go just check it out, right? And that was the game. You guys got blown out by Pacific, and I was like, I mean, I wasn't, we weren't upset. We were just there to support you. It was it's a new team, so we're like, okay, getting his grip back on these big guys. So we were happy just to see you coach again. So
I mean, that was well appreciated too, man. I appreciate the support, and Atlanta, Coach Wadu put together a tremendous coaching staff. Coach Mack, who played at BYU, he played for the Eagles a couple of seasons. Coach Wadu played at San Jose State. He played corner there. He had Coach Lou now, who's actually the offensive line coach. Coach Lou at Atlanta. He's a tremendous guy. So he's done a good job of putting himself around good coaches. So it's not. He has a lot to do with it, but he'll be the first one to tell you because Coach Wadu is very humble. He'll say the people around you are the ones that create success. So yeah. So man, I appreciate the support, man. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. So I don't know if this was your first, but was that your first CIF game?
No. Well, championship game, yes. But playoff game, no. When I was at Silverado on the Coach Posey, because you coach JV, but you travel with varsity and you can assist the coaches, whatever they see. If they ask you, hey, keep an eye on this guy or so on and so forth, help me with personnel change. So you do that. But with Coach Posey, we played Oak Hills in the Division I round game, and we beat Oak Hills that season. And Oak Hills, they're a great program.
Yeah.
Only to lose against Summit, man. Oh my gosh, that year, the round 2, playing against Summit High School. Summit had the only kid that was offered by USC in Southern California, and guess what they ran? Double wing for 3 quarters, man. They took it to us real bad. And you know as much as I do, when you have a program that runs double wing and their linemen are 6'3", 280, you really can't. It's a tough matchup.
Right.
And they ran it down. But yeah, no, it wasn't. It's my first CIF title at Atlanta, but it wasn't first CIF playoff game. It was free. It was a fun experience at Atlanta. It was great.
I bet. So let me ask you. I know it was not your first, CIM playoff game, but the championships. Now I know that was the first time for you because you've never been to a championship in your life.
Right.
I know you've been, well, probably as an athlete, but I'm saying as a coach, you haven't coached in a CIF title game. So you're like, so what are you doing? Like, what are you doing that morning? You're like, what the heck? What am I doing here? Why? Out of all the people, why am I here right now? Like, how am I here right now?
Well, I tell you what. So first and foremost, thank God, right?
Yeah.
Because everything's possible through God. But most importantly, the kids. The kids are the ones that made that possible. Because I mean, think about it. Now, our bracket for that CIF season was brutal. I mean,
Oh
I can
yeah.
imagine the stuff that Coach Wadu was going through, man. Because we think about it this way, son. Atalanto is not. You want to talk about a school that has a bad rap, right? Atalanto. Everybody talks about, oh, Atalanto, a bunch of thugs and so on and so forth. So we go to Orange County to play a team in Orange County.
Oh.
We have an uphill battle there
Mhm.
because we have that rap of being the kids being rowdy and whatnot.
Yeah.
So our bracket was tough, man, and just to try to go through El Monte, dude, El Monte, to play, in the CIF championship game. I mean, it was just, but it's a surreal feeling. The next morning, we text the coaches, "Hey, did this really happen?" Yeah, yeah, it really happened. I mean, but it's the kids, man.
Yeah.
The kids are the ones that remind you that you actually won because they're still ecstatic.
Right.
They're still ecstatic that you actually won. You know what I mean? So first and foremost is God. Thank God. Two, the athletes who believing in the program.
Yeah.
And three, the head coach at the time, Coach Wadu. Coach Wadu had a bunch of times that he was stressed out and he didn't let it show.
Yeah.
He could, how the saying goes, crap rolls downhill, but not in those words.
Right. Right.
And a lot of crap stopped that Coach Wadu, and he didn't allow us to feel that crap.
Right.
So he just let us say, "Coach, you coach, and you coach the best game you can."
Mhm.
Being an offensive line coach, you understand the struggles already to begin with. Trying to keep a Division One athlete at the other side of the football, from getting sacks, whatnot, or Coach Mack preparing against a stout double wing team.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it's foremost. It's an exciting thing. Um, you really can't fathom me like, wow, we actually won CIF. This is what it feels like. And then the kids are the ones consistently reminding you, Coach, we won.
We won. You're like,
It's an exciting feeling.
it
Absolutely
is.
right.
I bet. Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure during the game you're like, what the heck? What the heck, man? What? I'm actually playing in this game right now, in this moment,
Right.
next to my coordinators, next to Coach Wadud, and then all
Yeah.
these athletes are doing great.
Right. Right. Well, you know what? Each and one of those games, we were picked to lose,
Oh yeah,
either by
definitely.
double digits or single digits. I mean, you know that
Yeah.
because you kept up with it. But we went in there to whatever stadium we played in. Most of actually a lot of our games. Think about it this way. Actually, matter of fact, I never thought about this. Throughout the CIF playoff, every team we played was away from our home in their stadium.
That's
So think about that. I mean, that's pretty rough, right?
that
That's
is
pretty
like
rough.
a trip right there. That is a trip.
Yeah. So that goes back to Coach Wadu having great practice plans, allowing his coaches to coach, and telling the players, have fun.
Have fun. Yeah.
I mean, have fun. Yep,
So
absolutely.
how does that happen? Like, how do you get every single one of those games? How are they always away? Like, that's the thing. Where does that come from?
Well, I think that happened because of a CIF rule. I don't have the politics of it. One thing I learned from Coach Posey is it doesn't matter what we play, the game's the same.
Right.
Doesn't matter if we play at home or away. But most of that time is actually a coin toss that's determined by CIF or something like that. I have no idea.
Right.
But the game is still played in a football field, so on a football field. So
Right.
it's just I don't know politics, man. CIF gets involved, and that's about it, son. That's all we know.
That's all you know. Then you just check out the schedule. You're like, oh, we're away again. Good job. Then you just
Yeah,
back at it.
exactly. We're away again.
You look back at it and
Yeah.
you're like, wait a minute. Did we seriously just have all these away games out at once?
Yes. Well, you know what? I mean, there was a couple of times where we thought, okay, if we beat this team, next week we'll be home. And then
Right.
the AD comes out and tells the guys, we're going to, we're traveling this week. We're traveling to El Monte, or we're traveling something. Like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me, dude. And to play at El Monte, son, El Monte had the entire side full, the stands, and then it was so packed that people behind us outside of the stadium were yelling at our kids through the fence.
Wow.
Right? So, oh, you guys suck. You guys are just a bunch of ghetto people, or so on and so forth. This is fans. This is fans.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, it was a wild environment. It was wild environment. I'll tell you that much.
That's
It was great.
crazy. That is
It was fun environment actually. Yeah.
that was crazy. So like, how do you deal with the crowd noise? I mean, I know that crowd noise can affect the game dramatically. I mean, for coaches, because you gotta talk, and those headsets don't go higher than they're supposed to. But
Yeah.
how do you deal with the crowd
Um,
noise?
like to be truly honest with you, I think during the game you're so focused on your student athletes, and in the game you kind of tune it out. It isn't until somebody says, "Hey, man, that guy's yelling his ass off," whatnot. I'm like, "No, I'm gonna tune it out, man." So you want to make sure that once again, going back to the kids are gonna react and how the coaches react, right?
Right.
So if kids see you cool, calm, and collected, guess what he's gonna do? He's gonna be cool, calm, and collected. You know
Exactly.
what? Hey, man, we played a series. We didn't score. This is what we did wrong. This is the play we ran. This is what happened. You gotta make sure to run that play again. You gotta focus on it and do your job. And that's you gotta do. I mean, so we kind of shut it out, if you will.
Right.
But we only acknowledge it when somebody says, "Hey, man, look at this guy's yelling his butt off." And at the time, we'd say, "Let's forget it, man. This is a dude being a dude. He's being stupid or whatnot.
Yeah, he's a
Whatever."
fan. Just fans doing what fans do best.
Right, exactly. Right, it's called fanatics. Right, that's the one reason I call fanatics. Absolutely right.
So what was it like to finally hoist the CIF trophy? You have it in your hands. What is it? I bet you that. I bet you felt like time stops right there, right then and there.
Well, I'll tell you what. It was a defensive series. I wasn't involved on defense at all. Coach Wadu believed having opposite coaches and defensive coaches, and Coach Mack had a tremendous game plan. And so that last series, they had the ball,
Yeah.
and it was up to Coach Mack and his defense to actually stop this machine, because they had a running back who was just like maybe 5'6" or so, but he was a scat back. I mean, and they ran double wing at times. You know what I mean? So it's pretty hard to actually see him.
Yeah.
But when they stopped him, when Atlanta stopped him, I kind of paused and I said, "Is that it? Is that it?" And then it wasn't until the kids started jumping up and down, Coach Radu started jumping up and down. We said, "Oh crap, we just won, dude."
We just won the game. You're like, it's
Exactly.
over. We did it.
Yeah, it's wild, man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was definitely like, oh my gosh, did this just happen, dude? And if now that I look back on it, I felt kind of bad a little bit because while you're celebrating, the other team is watching you celebrate.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just that's kind of what and you go back to what USC said, the victor goes spoiled, right? So you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy it, because if it was us losing,
Oh,
you
yeah.
better believe they're going to celebrate.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yes, it's definitely fun.
so what was the bus ride? Or were you riding the bus at the time, or did you just drive yourself to? I mean, because I know you were doing a job at that time. So
Yeah, so that game, I want to say I rode the bus because sometimes I'll meet the kids there, the coaching staff there.
yeah.
But I can tell you this right now. Uh, when we won, that bus ride home was fun. Coach Wadu would get happy one night, play music, one of the kids would get not rowdy, but enjoy the ride, right?
Yeah.
But when we lost, it was all business, dude. You better shut your mouth and celebrate, dog. And if you have too much energy now, that means that you can give me all your energy in the football field. on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
football field. Excuse me.
definitely.
But yeah, with Coach Wadu, or different coaches celebrate victories differently, right?
Right.
So Coach Wadu will allow his kids to celebrate. Hey, you had a tremendous victory, celebrate. Enjoy it now because Saturday morning, this no longer exists. This is
Mm-hmm.
done.
Over.
Saturday morning, you got to prepare for the next team.
Right.
And that's what, yeah. So, but to answer your question, the ride home they were pretty fun.
I bet.
They're yeah.
So, all right. Now it's time for your favorite part, Riverside Prep. I know
Let's let's do it.
you're excited about this one. All
Let's do
right.
it.
So, I, I heard how you got the job. I mean, by reference again, because all your jobs come from references, which is amazing. That's awesome. But
Thank
uh,
you.
would you say that this? Because I remember we had a conversation one time. This is when you were back at Atlanta. You actually had to play Riverside Prep, and if I believe was it a first round of the playoffs?
Yes. The first round of playoff, correct.
And then what they were just I felt like no, I remember because we were talking about it. We were talking, where I was like, all right, coach, good luck. You're like, yeah, I think it's gonna be a good game. But I believe you read, what is it? You get a call or you read something that they're already giving up already. Like, did you hear that they were giving up already? Because I remember we had a conversation like that.
Well, so what happened was that at Riverside Prep, if you actually during the game, I want to say the first two or three series that Riverside Prep had
Mm-hmm.
against Atlanta at the time,
Yeah.
they were doing well. They were moving the ball against us. So if you know Coach Wadu, he would come and tell me, "Hey, we're not doing something right up front. You need to fix it.
Yeah.
Fix it. You really need to fix it. That's Coach Wadu need to fix it." And he would let me coach. So I was a line.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do often in games is, as you know me, when I would watch film, I would position the lineman to have success against a guy who was, longer hands or whatnot, right?
Right.
So I made changes off the line, and Coach Wadu made changes to the play calling based on what we talked about. Uh, and then, that's one thing about Coach Wadu is that he would tell him something, and he would hear you out, and he would implement it.
Right.
So Coach Mack once again had a great game plan. That when we were stumbling, the defense was stopping them.
Right.
But come back, I think that the full series it just popped for us, and we started scoring. The minute that Riverside Prep realized that we scored twice quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and once again they have all the cars coming by here. Yeah, they got right going on here.
I heard.
So once Riverside Prep realized, like, these guys are scoring quickly, and once again Riverside Prep going from a small school, they didn't have the numbers to compete with Atlanta because a lot of linemen went both ways.
Right.
With Atlanta, our linemen, our offensive line, they didn't play defensive line.
Right.
They came off, I would have coached them up, and then go on. So Riverside Prep, they didn't have that luxury.
Right.
The minute linemen come up, the minute you change sides, the linemen stayed on the football field, -1, right? Because it was 4 down linemen.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, to answer your question, I think once they realized the speed, the kids, just the number wise, and we had more kids than they did, so we were able to rotate. Yeah, I think that's what got to. I mean, we had athletes, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a whole lot easier coaching a football game. You have a bunch of athletes,
Yeah.
but it was definitely an experience for us, and it's very humbling because you know what? And I told you guys when I tell you, don't ever play down, play up.
Right.
And that's what Riverside Prep was doing that game. They were playing up, so we had to play up, and eventually we came out victorious. And yeah, so yes, we did play Riverside Prep.
Yeah, and you saw. I mean, you saw that, and you're like, okay. I mean, because all right. So how did you actually like start coaching on RP? Was it because did you want to go back to Atalanta, or did you feel like RP needed you more at that time?
No, I can tell you this right now. And this is going back to Atlanta or even Silverado. I can tell you this right now. If Coach Posey never resigned at Silverado,
Mhm.
I probably would have been coaching for him the entire time.
Right.
Well, not probably. I would have. He would have to fire me because that's how much I enjoy coaching with Coach Posey.
Yeah.
To Atlanta, I love Atlanta. The environment was good for me. It was fun. You know, I'm not gonna say everything 100% was great. There's
Right.
some things you just don't like, but you work through.
Mhm.
But once again, I thought of my son's education. Um, Going from Atlanta, which the academics, I'm not saying it's a bad school, but when you have a classroom of 30 kids compared to Riverside Prep, maybe 20 to 23 kids.
Mhm.
I mean, what am I gonna do? So as you know, it becomes pretty tough to enroll your kid into Riverside Prep.
Yeah.
Anybody who's a parent that try to get their son to attend Riverside Prep, they have a huge waiting list. So I've been trying to. I mean, I've been in the waiting list forever. My son was a freshman. Coach Jimi Hendrix, who was the old offensive coordinator for Atlanta, he got the head coaching job, and he said, "Hey, man, I would really love for you to coach my offensive line here at Riverside Prep.
Wow.
Um, Come over, help us build this program." Um, so what happened was there's no interview process because Coach Jimmy and I knew each other from Atlanta. So I got hired. My son is now going to Riverside Prep. So it was more of to answer your question. If my son would have said that I want to go to Atlanta, then I probably would stay in Atlanta. But I just didn't. I didn't see myself Moonwalker coaching at Atlanta,
Mhm.
and then my son go to Riverside Prep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because now it becomes a situation to where it's you know I want to be around my son as much as I can
Right.
because we talked about being away from your family. So my son's a freshman. So I believe that me spending as much time as I can with my son, around my son, and seeing him how I react to different kids or with the kids, whatnot, and coming home with him, I think that was a big step for maturity for him to see what we do on the football field or how we carry ourselves with different kids and so on. But
Right.
if my son, once again going back to it, if my son would have said, "Dad, I want to go to Atlanta," or if the classroom environment, number wise, was the same as Riverside Prep, I would stay in Atlanta. Um, Coach Wadu is a great guy. The coaching staff is a great guy. But the ultimate selling point was, honestly, how do you compete with 23 kids versus 30 kids in the classroom? You just
Yeah.
can't. So I went to Riverside Prep.
It was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, it is. But you know what? I mean, and the thing about Riverside Prep is um, they're kind of run like a private school.
Yeah.
And a lot of people up here think it's a private school and it's a charter school. But what happens is that they run it to it's the environment, education first. We don't pull up with if you miss school so much and it's a choice school, you don't have to be here. So
Yeah.
they'll tell you to go back to your home school. So I mean, it's the environment is different, um, and everybody up here seems to think that it's a private school because of the way it's ran and how hard it is to get to Riverside Prep. Think about it. The top schools up here for education wise, in the hot days I'm speaking, in the Victor Valley area, University Prep, and next to it you hear Riverside Prep,
Yeah.
and and then Oak Hills and Apple and whatnot. Atlanta's getting there and whatnot. But yeah, if it wasn't for the academic standards and my son wanted to go there, I would stay at Atlanta.
Wow. So,
But yeah,
oh no, finish what you were gonna say.
so but with Coach Hendricks reached out to me, Coach Jimmy.
Hmm.
I mean, Coach Jimmy and I get along so well. It was kind of hard to say no to him either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, nevertheless, I'm there now.
So what
I
was it
enjoy
like?
it.
What was it like? The first day you stepped onto that new, a different football field. Your fourth. Well, high school football field.
Riverside Prep. So you know what? At first, well, first of all, we walked in late because the old coaching staff was transitioning to leaving. You know, Coach Judy coached at Riverside Prep, the long time Victor Valley coach.
Yeah.
Coach Judy stepped out, or he stepped down, and now we didn't get to actually meet the kids because of CIF rules and whatnot. We didn't meet the kids till I want to say late April. So by that time, we already missed a lot of spring ball, a lot of weight room time, a lot of implementing the offense, and the defense. But Coach Jimmy put a great staff together with Coach Max, Coach Isaiah, just Jimmy was there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, it was definitely tough the first year because we just didn't have the extra time.
Right.
We started late,
Right. Exactly.
and that's because Coach Jimmy got the job late. Yeah, but it was definitely exciting. Once again, how we talked about Sid Rod and go to Excelsior. It was a humbling experience because of the athletes.
Right.
Well, imagine leaving Atlanta with a bunch of kids that run a 4.5 40
Right.
to go to Riverside Pro. Let's say Atlanta has multiple kids that run a 4.5 40, right?
Right.
Or 4.6 40, whatnot. They're athletes. Going to Riverside Prep, where a lot of the kids never played football before.
Yeah.
I mean, so you have to go back to teach things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They have athletes there. I believe every school up here has athletes, but a lot of those athletes haven't played football before.
Right.
So at Riverside Prep, you find yourself coaching fundamentals, and this is what I tell people: it's easy to coach talent because you don't got to do it very much.
Right.
But when you go to a school like Riverside Prep and Excelsior, you really have to coach. I mean, you really have to coach these kids up.
Right.
A lot of kids never play football.
Never. First time.
It's fun though because yeah, exactly. But it's fun though. It's absolutely fun.
It is.
It really is.
So, do you think that
Really
extra?
is.
Did you think that extra, weight room time or field time would have affected the Big Bear game at all? I mean, just for your experience.
I can tell you this right now. I feel this right now. To be honest with you. When you have the extra weight room time, extra conditioning time with the kids, and not only that, but to build that extra relationship with them. That's the difference between being a team like Big Bear and losing against them. Because I was talking to the line coach from Big Bear, I was doing shot with her some prep.
Right.
And it was coming for me when the coach Big Bear told me. He said, I'll tell you this. That was the best offensive line we saw Riverside Prep in years. So guess what? That made me shine. That made me feel good, right? Because guess what?
Yeah.
I'm a line coach. And I'm like, oh man, I'm doing something right.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I mean, but yes, the regular time it counts a lot. But here's what I told you in the past: you can be strong early on the football field, but technique ultimately wins in the fourth quarter.
True.
And that's what we pride ourselves on is technique.
Technique. That's all you can do. Keep that good technique going.
Absolutely right.
So I know that season was really confusing for you because the record was so weird. I've never seen Riverside Prep end in such a weird fashion. So I'm over here confused. So you gotta run me down how that record got so confusing, and how you guys are weak in this game, you guys are strong in this game, and then you guys are like, I don't know. It's like a
So I don't. Yeah. Yeah. It's a roller coaster, right?
yeah, it is a roller coaster.
There's teams that we played, we just took it to them. I mean, and then there's games that we play that we barely won, and there's games we play we got blown out.
Yeah.
Like Granite Hills. Granite Hills, week one, just took it to us. They played the Sky League.
Yep.
The Sky League is Silverado, Barstow. They play pretty good teams.
Yeah.
So week one, once again, we we didn't have a lot of these kids because we started late, so we can't prepare for Granite.
Yeah.
But Granite has more kids on roster, bigger kids, have been together longer. And ultimately, I think what happens is, I think that game, to be truly honest, we had two kids go out with concussions.
Oh wow.
Yes, so you can imagine what goes on in the psyche of kids, right? Oh man, they knocked out this kid, and one of the kids that knocked out was a 6'4" kid,
Oh
6'4", 260. Right?
oh shoot.
So yeah, so imagine what's going on in the mind of the guy who's 5'9", 180 pounds. Oh my gosh, they knocked this dude out. What's gonna happen to me? I mean,
Yeah.
so I just believe that they came out, they're the better team, and they just took it to us. But I mean, we can chalk it up to coaching. We probably did a bad job, or maybe the kids came out scared, or whatnot. But ultimately, there's no excuses made,
Right.
and they beat us fair and square. So to answer your question, we started off the season bad with the loss. The playoff game round one, the team that we were playing, I think was in Garden Grove. I forgot where the school was at. I'm sorry,
Yeah. No,
it's
it's
been
okay.
a while.
Sierra
Anyway,
Vista.
the school comes out, Moonwalker, with black helmets on, right? Pre-game, black helmets on.
Okay.
So our kids were hyped. Okay, great. That team, we can take it to them. And you know how each team goes into the locker room before they come out to play the game?
Yeah.
Okay, so we come out, and this team comes out in chrome helmets. So
Oh.
they go out in black. They go in black helmets, and they come out with chrome helmets.
Oh no.
So those kids are hyped. Those kids are so hyped because that's probably the first time they seen those chrome helmets, man. They were hyped.
Wow.
So guess what happened to our kids? Oh man, they look pretty fancy. They're gonna beat us. So guess what happened, dude? We got rolled now.
Oh yeah.
It was. Yeah. I mean, once you saw the energy from the other team, yeah, you kind of have. It's an eerie feeling, man. Like wow, it's an ominous feeling. Like oh my gosh, something bad is gonna happen.
Yeah, like
And
the
yeah,
era of the balloon came out.
yeah, right, exactly, exactly. No matter what play we called, it's just that team executed, so we couldn't do much.
Right.
They were well prepared, fast, big team. Yeah, they look good. They play good, and
Hmm.
ultimately they ended up winning.
Yeah.
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 So we started off bad and we ended up bad.
So it's weird because you guys were doing such bad. You guys were climbing back there a little bit during the season, and then you guys just go back to the bottom. And I'm like, okay, that's so confusing. But hey, it happens sometimes.
Well, you know what? It does, and I don't want to. I mean, I'm gonna call you on it. I don't say well, bottom. I mean, but here's the thing about this is we're doing. I think we're doing things to change that program around, and all of a sudden, guess what happens? The coronavirus happens,
Oh yeah, there it
right?
goes.
So all the momentum we're building, yes. So guess what's gonna happen now? We gotta go back and start from scratch again.
Again.
So yeah, we're building momentum. We're getting the program up. We're doing great things with the program. Kids on campus are finally coming out to actually play football because they're noticing that hey, these coaches really care for us.
Right.
They want to win. They're decent coaches, whatnot. So let's go out and give it a shot. All of a sudden, man, boom, coronavirus happens,
Stay
and we
home
had a
now.
meeting. We're supposed to have a meeting. I'm sorry.
No, no, yeah, you're like coronavirus, and I'm like,
So
yeah,
we're
stay
supposed to have a
home now.
meeting. Yeah, yes, it was very sudden, right?
Yes.
We were supposed to have a meeting. Coach Hendricks, the head coach, said, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna have a meeting for spring ball to prepare for spring ball, weight room time, and so on and so forth."
Right.
So he postponed it. Hey, I got to postpone his meeting because of this whole coronavirus thing. We said, "Okay, great, thanks, no problem. Let us know." So in group text, he sends out group text saying, "Hey guys, we're gonna meet together at this date." It was 2 days later. So he sends the text early in the morning, like 7 in the morning, and says, "Hey, I gotta cancel it because we're shutting down." And that's when the school shut down. Remember that?
Jeez. Yeah.
The school shut down, and then the kids went to online learning.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, you're talking about letting the air out of a balloon, man. Going back to imagine all the programs though,
Oh
going
yeah.
back and kind of reteaching things, if you will. Uh, and I believe every program is going to go through. So this is my prediction: week one or week zero of any team, whether pros, college, or high school. I'm predicting a lot of interceptions and I'm predicting a lot of fumbles
There
because
we
it's
go.
just think about it.
Yes.
I mean, you spend so much time. Yeah, it's like aren't you feeling the same way too? I mean, I'm feeling that way.
Ah, me too. I'm feeling there's just going to be a lot of mistakes in week one or week zero, even the preseason for pros, and dates are going to be moved
Yeah,
around.
yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I mean, I think that the pros. I mean, they can kind of work on their craft because there some guys are wealthy, money, but more at the college level and high school level because some of these kids don't have nowhere to go.
Right.
So a lot of gyms are closed. A lot of the running trails were closed. So not a lot of kids have their own in gym or in home gym, right?
Right.
So you're going back to a bunch of air squats and push-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now everybody's working out at the same rate.
yeah. So now it's going to be tough, right? Now we're going to see. Now I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be interesting. Week zero is going to be really interesting
It
if we have a week
is.
zero.
It's truly gonna be so interesting. I can't wait to see what happens. It's just gonna be so weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how CIF is going to do. I'll tell you what, right now, CIF has a tough decision to make, and ultimately, I think what's going to happen is they're going to pull all the ADs together and probably find or figure out a best way solution, right, to get these kids ready to play football because football is not like any other sports.
It's fun.
Football it's fun, but you have to get acclimated to so many things. Think about it.
Yeah.
Basketball is fun, but you can do it with one guy and train with one guy, right?
Right.
Shooting basketball, work on your crafter outside, shoot the basketball around, work on your jump shot. But with football, you've got what I think 7 days of conditioning with the helmet on before you get the pads,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, I know they changed the rule because a lot of concussions and injuries during the preseason. So I mean, that's pretty much declining the football. Because I miss 2 days. Let's be honest, we all miss 2 days, don't we?
Yeah. You know what? And here's the thing with 2 days. I agree with you. Um, with Coach Posey, we had a thing called overnight camp.
Ooh.
So what would happen is we will spend the night at the gymnasium, right, for 2 days.
Yeah.
Spend the night. The coaches there would be, whatnot. Spend the night there, and this was all approved by whatnot by the administration, whatnot. So you get the extra time to build with these kids, right?
Hmm.
Parents approved of it, so on and so forth. But for every good coach that you have, you also have that coach that was really abusing the system, right?
No.
So 2 days, I think, end up going away because it was determined that it was a lot of health issues on the student athletes,
Right.
and I think that's when we were 2 days.
Yeah. And 2 days.
I agree. Yeah,
Those are.
you're fun, but
I
they're
hated
also
it,
brutal
but
on you
when I look
guys.
back at it, I'm like, yes. I'm glad I had to experience 2 days when in its final stages.
Right, right. No, I mean, you know what? That's when you build your camaraderie with your teammates.
Yeah.
2 days, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, you're sweating, you're exhausted, and that's when you build that friendship with your players, with your friends. Hey, man, they're pushing you on to get the extra 100 yards.
Hmm.
Because it's not football is really I believe it's a truly a team sport.
It is.
Because in basketball, it's a team sport, son. But what happens is when one guy gets hot, then he takes over the game, and that becomes a one man sport, right? I know I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna get a lot of heat for this, but with football, if the opposite line is not blocking, if one guy on the opposite line is not blocking, the whole thing goes to crap,
Yeah.
right? Or one guy on defense is not doing his job, they're scoring touchdowns. So you get to build that relationship in 2 days,
In 2 days.
or
Yeah.
spring ball and whatnot.
Spring ball. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was enjoyable. It was also exhausting.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask you because I know we're gonna go back to the roller coaster thing. Okay. So but the thing about Riverside Prep is, well, I mean, I know it happens for a lot of other schools too. Okay. So I'm not sure if I don't even know if I'm getting the right team correct, but I'm checking out. Okay. So it's you and Santa Rosa Academy, right? You and those guys. Then this was before you came, I think, or I don't know if this was when you were playing, but I believe you blew them out once you started coaching there, right?
What you saying? What Excelsior with Coach Rivera? You said Excelsior?
No, I'm
Say it
saying
again.
no, I'm saying like you at Riverside Prep, and then you guys had a I don't know what week it was, but I think you guys were playing Santa Rosa Academy.
I think that was on. Let me see here. I think a team from Vegas. I think the team from Vegas.
Yeah.
No, the team from Vegas was Calvin. Um, but we played a team at Riverside Prep. Um, it was in Orange County. And to be truly honest, man, when you play Orange County teams, you have to be really prepared because them guys are tough.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we got that game, man. They took it to us, man. Um, Anytime you play an Orange County team, we tell our kids, this goes back to what you're saying about, kids, African Americans or Asian kids or white kids. Orange County teams, man, they have a bunch of white kids that can play ball, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so we tell the kids all the time, just because of blonde hair, blue eyed guy, don't mean he got to come light your ass up. I mean, because to his mind, he's trying to earn a scholarship just as you are.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they're very well disciplined. They played hard. And this is what we like to say about it is, this is what I got from Coach Raines was, if you think about it this way is, we got our best against your best. And a lot of Orange County teams have a lot of good teams, have a lot of great kids there.
Right.
And really bring the best out of those kids. They do. They do. But thanks for the reminder, Moonwalker. They really beat us up real bad, man.
Hey! I'm just trying to do, this podcast here. Okay, I'm not trying to bring back any sad memories. Hey, I didn't say these questions would be easy to answer.
Right. I'm trying to be as honest as possible here, right?
Yeah, hey, don't worry. You can be as honest as possible, or you can lie about it. Doesn't matter.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe in them because you know why? Because the record shows itself. So yeah.
Yeah, the records.
Truth
People are
is
gonna be
true.
like, hey, let's look at Riverside Prep. Let's see what their record is. Yeah, I mean,
Right, exactly. And you know what, man? I'm gonna say, you know, at Excelsior we had the Outlaws there, right?
Oh yeah.
And then Carlos Azama, who was a tremendous, he's a great friend. I've known him since I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school. I've known him since then. I think he was a senior. But we've kept in touch. As you know, he was the president of the Outlaws, and he was at Excelsior for some time, and at Atlanta for a year. But when you go back to having that support of the people from the outside community, supporting your student athletes, supporting your coaches, people like him really make a change into society because they truly want the best for their kids. And Carlos knows that maybe he needs something, I'm going to help him out. He's like a brother to me. And I think that with him, I would believe that he had the same sentiment. But he was really, truly a guy for the community, a guy that wanted the best for the kids. And so if you talk about having a guy around your corners and support, I think Carlos Azama is top notch, man. Great guy.
Great guy. Yeah.
Great guy. It was sad to see his program go. It's just, because you get tired of it every now and then. You just get tired of running a youth program, and you just get tired of negativity, and you say, you know what, enough is enough. I think he wants to spend time with his family, and I think that's what drew the line.
Yeah, because he's got a son at Oak Hills. If I remember correctly, he has a son at Oak Hills.
Dude, that dude's bad.
Yes.
That dude's yes, yes. Ethan Lazama, man. If you get to see that kid play ball, man, that kid was playing ball. Then again, it must be genetics, man, because his daddy was pretty good. But Oak Hills, man, they did a tremendous job with him. Oak Hills has a good coaching staff, and I mean, I knew that kid was going to be a ball player because of what his dad demanded of him. His dad going back to teaching kids, right? It all begins at home. Ethan has a life where two parents are at home. His mom's supportive, his dad's supportive. Carlos knows that whatever he needs from me with his son, I'm supportive of him. And you add Coach Hill's coaching staff, who's very supportive. This kid's gonna become somebody, man.
Yeah.
I mean, this kid was scoring defensive touchdowns as a defensive end. That's amazing, man.
It is.
Yeah, yeah. That kid's bad. That kid's bad in a good way. Like, wow, that dude's a machine, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All
kid's
right.
awesome.
All right, all right. So I love the support. I mean, like you said, you got a lot of support from the community. I mean, would you say that Carlos is like your best bud right there on top?
Right. Well, you know what? As you go along and then you coach, you spend time coach. I've been probably coaching more than 15 years, I would say. As you go along, man, you get to build relationship with people. And first and foremost, so I'm gonna give you a quick story real quick. You have to build relationship with these young men because after they leave you in football, they have to become men.
Right.
They have to become leaders of society. They have to go out to society. So I'm gonna tell you right now. A few months ago, I went to Town and Country to get my tire repaired, right? And I ran into a kid named Frank Pike. Frank Pike played for Silverado High School when I was the offensive coordinator there.
Wow.
This is many years ago, son. Years ago, right?
Yeah.
I saw him there. Hey, Frank, what are you doing, man? Oh, I'm doing great, coach. I'm trying to do big things, right? I'm only here temporarily while I get this job. Great, man. Awesome. Good to hear from you. So I leave. Taloa Tawafi, one of the guys that also played for Silverado, posted a message on Facebook saying, with a saddened heart, I'm sorry to see you go, Frank Pike. So something like that. So I replied back to Taloa. I said, hey, dude, what's going on? Dude, what happened to Frank? Did he die? Yeah, coach, he passed away. This kid, 25 years old, I saw him maybe 3 months before, and now you hear from him and he died. So a lot of these young men, you grow up, for 3 years, 4 years, you're coaching them up. Some join the military, some become, peace officers or whatnot. And some, unfortunately, turn to gangs. They die, either gang violence or in jail, or one just tragically died in an accident. So when you going back to where you have support from the family, support from people, well, we as coaching staff, we have to be able to support people when some tragedy like this happens, man. Because ultimately, we always say, they're family.
Right.
And it's a terrible thing to see a student athlete lose his life. And as a community and the high desert, the high desert is small. It's a big high desert, but it's kind of small. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you kind of think everybody knows each other and whatnot. But you learn to you meet someone, you build that relationship with someone, and you want to make sure you don't actually don't burn that bridge. You want to consistently have those bridges open, keep contact with people, how their sons are doing, and when a situation like this happens, for example, with Frank Pike, it's really heartbreaking, man. So it's tough, man. So I know I got caught off the subject a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it makes it easier when you have a good relationship with the people around you. But like your dad, I mean, your dad's a tremendous guy, dude. Your mom and dad were great. I mean, your mom and dad were very supportive, telling me, "Coach, put your foot up my son's ass." I am, believe me, do that.
I know it was crazy. I was like, oh no, don't encourage coach.
Yeah,
Don't
when you get that
encourage.
permission, like, all right, we good.
I'm like, oh no, they're encouraging coach again.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's when you got the okay when the parent trusts you, um, to kind of educate their own kid because they know that football is only a stepping stone
Hmm.
um, for your biggest accomplishment coming in life.
Right.
And the more people you have around you, it becomes easier. And I believe, Walker, that when you have the parent support to help this young man grow and to be an asset to society, right? To grow into be a wonderful young man, have a career in his own. That only comes because the community around you and the support you have around you to help this young man become successful.
Right.
And that's when you really truly know that people around you are helping you out because it goes both ways, son. Um, like go back to your parents. Whatever I'm instilling in the kids has to be echoed by your parents. Whatever your parents are wanting you to grow up with, I have to make sure I echo that message,
Right.
right? So we have to work together. You know what I'm talking
Both
about?
do at
So
the
yeah,
same time.
so having a great relationship with community is huge.
It's
I
true.
believe so.
It's true. Very
Yeah,
true. Whatever you get from the community, you gotta,
yeah,
good vibes from the community. You gotta, give them back. You gotta be supported.
yeah. That's true. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you've got to carry your name. Think about it. I mean, you're not only representing yourself, you're representing the school you're coaching for,
Right.
and so you got to make sure you carry yourself well. I mean, because once again, we go back to
Right.
a lot of these young men I see the whole. I was asking them, specifically asking them, what are you doing? How are you doing? Are you all right? Meaning, behaving was important.
Right.
What are we doing all this crowd here? That's not your crowd. What are you doing with the crowd here?
Right.
If it's 2 o'clock in the morning, what are you doing at 2 o'clock? Where you're at, what the hell's going on with you, man? Like I told you guys before, nothing good happens after midnight. I just explain how you have after midnight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've had kids walking me a call at 2 o'clock in the morning asking me, hey, coach, can you lend me $20? I'm like, yo, where you at? I'm in Las Vegas. How the hell did you get to Las Vegas? I mean, we're talking about a kid who's 18 years old, man. Okay, what do you send money to? Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely right. I had a kid during this whole pandemic. Coach, can you send him money, man? Because I can really good buying food. Right? And cash out me, I said, say, buy some food. So, I mean, you become a father figure to lives, man. I call them man, like it's a lot of kids around. So I'm saying father figure, because a lot of these kids that you coach don't have a father figure.
Right. It's true. You know,
So,
and I know some people who struggle with the same thing. It's like sometimes they don't have they don't have their parent figure around, and then sometimes that can just make them fall off a little bit. But when you get coached by people like yourself, then it can help them a lot.
yeah, that's, and thank you for saying that. That's helping, man. Because every time you hear parents or a kid say, hey, coach, because of you, I did this. Well, in reality, to be truly honest with you, it wasn't because of me.
Right.
I maybe helped you. You know what I mean? But the decision was actually ultimately theirs. They just needed an extra kick in the ass to get there, right?
Right.
But I truly believe that you can guide the kid to make the right decision as long as you're in the program. Or, things can change and they can make the worst decisions in life.
Right.
And if they make the worst decisions in life, so let's say example, they do something wrong and they get jail time.
Right.
What are you going to tell the kid? I told you so? No, man, you got to be supportive of that kid. Hey, man, we're going to do the best. We're going to try to do the best we can to help you out. This kid runs some trouble at home. Okay, what's going on? What can we help you out with? Have them even in the classroom, they build this class coach. I feel like my teachers don't listen as a coach because most of the time they got single parents. The problems that work, you can't make it. So we're going as a teacher. Hey, what is this kid eating? Okay, what is he eating now? Tell me, how is he behaving in class? Now, if we get word that this kid's behaving in class, that's maybe we got to put, as a coaches, that we got to put our foot because as skill language, that's what's going to happen because the teacher's job is difficult. We want to make sure that the front office is behind it, right?
Right. Right.
So, I mean, a lot of these things is want to instill at early season. And you want to help the parent as much as you can. And eventually, or ultimately, you want these young men to grow up to be responsible adults.
That's true.
And that's what we preach. That's the rock. Maybe we're going to go to
any program.
Coaches, other care of the kids. That's what it takes to really be responsible for what you do.
True. You're right. You're right. All right then. So I know probably like a lot of a lot of your former athletes and a lot of your current athletes. They're probably they probably did the same thing when I was a freshman. They're probably looking at back where you coached and stuff like that. Now they're gonna probably ask themselves, "What in the world? You're not a head coach yet. What's the deal with that? When are we gonna see Coach Mario wear an actual head coaching headset? Giving everybody their orders. You've been taking orders for so long. When is it your time to give the orders?"
You know what? I've actually had opportunities for it. But because I'm not on campus, so let me tell you why that's holding me back. One, first and foremost, I believe because of my work schedule. I'm not an on-campus guy.
Right.
I come in at 3:30, 4 o'clock, right? 4:30 is fantastic to do our practice. So really, my job situation has a lot to do with it. And a lot of coaches that coach for very supportive of it. But ultimately, to be truly honest, man, I enjoy. I don't have the passion right now. It's probably a little hurt. But I enjoy being an offensive line coach. I know I can be an offensive line coach, but being a head coach. But I think that being a head coach, to give you an example, like watching Coach Booz, watching Coach Biden, they're more of, okay, what do you got going on? What are you teaching? Okay, great, I don't like it, change this. Right? So now, as a position coach, I'm the one who's hands-on with these kids, right? I'm the one who's hands-on, I'm the one who's teaching these kids technique, I'm the one teaching these kids this. So I'm teaching these kids how I want it.
Yeah.
Right? So as a head coach, I think you have a tremendous responsibility. Times living, you're in a position of football field.
Yeah.
Right? So that's, I think it's I'm not sure to answer your question. I'm not your coach right now. I just don't have the want to do it right now. To be truly honest. I think that my time to handle what's coming soon. It takes a lot of time away from your family. Like we talked about before, having supporting cast around you. My wife has been very patient with me. She supports me, she looks like yes. When it was a draw, we get her asking my 50 or my 50, she's there.
Right.
Ultimately, we guys, and it would be a disservice to say I would be a coach and retire here. That would be a disservice to the kids.
Right.
I've been doing it for so long, and I've been doing it for great coaches, that I didn't see myself wanting to be a coach because I enjoyed myself so much as a coach.
Right.
Being honest with you, it was just as fun for me.
Right.
So that's your question, man. I enjoy myself too much being able to like it.
Right.
So I had a chance to I don't know. I like it.
You like it? Okay. Have you? I mean, I know that you're saying these things right now. But have you like, I mean, before before this, before your thought process right now, like in the past, have you ever thought about taking that opportunity? Where did you like ever consider it being like a milestone of yours, or was it, or have you had the same process throughout the years?
No, at a younger age, the same thing about, I've been coaching maybe about 15 years, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say in my younger days, yes, I wanted to be a head coach. Let me tell you a thing that happened to me with Coach Posey. And this is why I respect that man so much. And Coach Posey, I'm sure he knows it. I love that dude to death, man. He's an awesome guy. I love him. Coach Silverado, man, I would spend so much time there because I wanted that title to be a head coach, either freshman head coach or JV head coach, whatever it may be, right? I was spending so much time there Monday through Saturday because we would watch film on Saturdays. He pulls me in the office, and Coach Posey would call me Coach Encarnacion. He'll tell me, Coach Encarnacion, what are you doing here? Coach, I'm watching film. He tells me, he looks me in the eye and he says, go home to your wife. Go home to your family. You're spending way too much time here, man.
Wow.
Go home to your family. So this is when I first started coaching, son. I mean, so when I went to my wife, I told my wife, hey, Coach Posey sent me home. And she said, good, because you're missing her often. You're always coaching. You're always coaching. And I feel like sometimes I'm doing things on my own. And that right there was a tremendous, like, I don't want to say slap in the face, but a reality check to where I got so engulfed in what I wanted to do that I don't want to say I forgot about my family, but I didn't put them first.
Right.
I guess you can say that, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't until my head coach, Coach Posey, told me, dude, take your ass home. You're spending way too much time here. I mean, and when I went home and my wife and I had a heart to heart, our relationship, I believe, grew. That's when she started coming to games. She started supporting me because I realized where I failed. I failed supporting my family because I was more interested in supporting someone else's, all the kids, right? So, yeah, when Coach Posey told me that, I realized, you know what, man? Head coach takes a lot from me.
Yeah.
It takes a lot from me. And my kids were young still. I'm talking about maybe, I'd say 5 years old,
Wow.
6 years old. So yeah, man. So it's, I think if you have teenagers with kids, yeah,
Yeah.
they're more understanding to be a head coach. But no,
But young
I
kids.
think since that conversation with Coach Posey, I think that feeling left.
You're like, yep. I need to spend more time with the family,
Yeah, man. That's true, man. That's true. So I do that now. I mean, all my time goes to my family and then it's football, right? So it's God, family, and football, right? That's the way it works.
Right. Right.
That's the way it works.
That's crazy, I mean, it's something special, You know when a guy really cares about you, when he has to literally just pull you aside from your guys just to tell you to get out of here and don't come back for like hours until a field practice. He's like, don't come here all the time. Just I'm letting you go home. Don't come back for the rest of the day. Just go home. Spend time with your family.
Yeah, that becomes a teaching moment for you. For me, it was a tremendous teaching moment for me because I'm outside right now because I mean the day's so nice, man. I spend so much time inside. I want to come outside. So I think that it becomes a teaching moment for you and you get some light in you. That you end up respecting that person more
Right.
of what they taught you. That with Coach Posey, man, forever and ever, I'll really appreciate him. Probably to my dying breath, man, because of this that simple conversation he had with me. Coach Encarnacion, go home. Spend time with your family. I mean, he wasn't selfish. Coach Posey was fair. He was very demanding on his football program because he demanded perfection from his coaches. But I mean, think about it. I mean, those are powerful words, man. Go home. Go home to your
Yep.
family.
And you knew then and there that this man, he was gonna support you. Like he was gonna be a staple for your careers, down the line. Wherever you go, you'll just remember how he had the greatest influence on you. Because I know every school we talked about so far, you've mentioned him, and that tells me that
Yes.
he had the greatest influence on you since day one, since you started being a coach.
Yeah, and you know what? Coach Posey had a tremendous staff. You know, Coach Allen, Coach Lawrence, Coach Martin, Coach Frederick, we used to call him Coach Fed. Um, a tremendous coaching staff. Even to this day, some of the stuff they taught me off the line, I'm teaching to these kids. You know, you train, develop your kids, and you create your own craft. A lot of stuff that Coach Posey kind of taught me because you also teach your coaches. This is why we go to coaching clinics. You know,
Right.
a lot of coaches, that stuff that Coach Posey, showed me, taught me how to be a better offensive line coach because he was offensive line coach. Um, what you end up doing is, I end up doing is, I still end up teaching these kids.
Hmm.
Like example, tight fit win. Tight fit win came from Coach Posey. So to this day, I was lineman, what are you doing, Coach? Tight fit win. Bam, the kids know tight fit win. I mean, obviously, you know that, right? But
Yeah.
that came from him. I mean, so a lot of the stuff that he did, I still do because of the system that he ran, the guy that he is. You know what I mean? I mean, that. But yes, to answer your question, man, I love that dude, man. That dude's awesome, man. That dude's a great guy to be around, fair, knowledgeable, and character. Got a great character.
That's awesome. All right,
Yes.
so I want to conclude this interview because I know we've been talking for such a while, and I don't want to take too much of your time. I just want to ask you like simple questions real quick. I mean, just so people understand. So I mean, so I know it all comes down to character, but I think a lot of once you get to a player's breaking point, there's these fights coming out, and I mean I don't want to call out Adelanto or anything or the team they were playing, but I remember I think it was like I don't know, it was a playoff game that they disqualified for
Yeah.
themselves, and that was I mean, and to me I don't blame Adelanto or the other team that they were playing, Orange Vista, but I believe like that fight. I mean, I think it was just poor discipline from both sides. I mean, how do you, as a coach, you're in okay, say your team starts a fight, I mean, you're hurting yourself starting or continuing the fight that the other team started. What are like I know that you're telling your athletes it all comes down to character, but when they forget that, when they forget that characteristic and then they're out there fighting with other players, that's when football does not stop becomes football. It just becomes, just like how you say it
Well,
represents the team. So what is that about? Like,
so I mean, I was not in the locker room at that time, but I was there for the first half of the game. And Orange Vista, keep in mind, is the same team that when I was in Atlanta, we beat to win a CIF title.
right,
So Orange Vista and Atlanta already had bad blood going into that game.
right,
Orange Vista was saying that, this is round two, we're going to take it to you guys. I'm sure that's what they were saying. Atlanta had some talented kids. But when I left halftime, halftime came, I was leaving. Somebody from the gate from Orange Vista said, "Are you leaving so soon? We might get to make a comeback." And I remember me saying, "It's gonna get nasty. It's gonna get nasty. You guys don't know it's gonna get nasty, so I'm leaving now." And when they got started laughing, on my way home, walk, I get a phone call from guess who? Carlos Lozano, my good friend,
wow,
like my brother, right?
yeah,
Tells me, "Hey man, did you hear?" I said, "Hear about what?" Orange Vista and Atlanta were gonna fight. And he said that. I said, "Dude, that's it." I said, "They're both disqualified." I said, "Did they clear the benches?" He says, "Yes." I said, "They're done, dude." I said, CRF rule states that if whatever team clears the bench, he's out. He's done. Whatever player clears the bench, you're out. And when he said that the entire both sidelines cleared the bench, then that was it. But to answer your question, um, football, man, is an emotional game.
Yeah.
It's a very very emotional game. And as a coaching staff, and I'm not talking about other coach, but as a coaching staff, if you don't control the emotions of your football players in the first drive,
Mm-hmm.
it can become a ticking time bomb
Yeah.
by other team. Because while you're destroying the other team, let's say example, you're the one who is a dominator, you're the one that's consistently scoring touchdowns.
Yeah.
You have to consistently tell those kids, look, man, something's gonna happen. They're gonna talk trash, and you have to be cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah.
If that's not said during the game in the process, I'm not saying that's not what Atlanta did, but if that's not a constant reminder to the kids, not just scoring touchdowns, all you need is one of these young men to lose focus and bite the apple that they're baiting them with. That's
Right.
it.
That's it.
You know what I mean? So to me, it was very disappointing because if you remember, El Monte had already beat their semifinal game, so they're already in finals.
That's right.
So I was hoping to watch Atlanta have a rematch against El Monte because it was such a good game when I was there,
Yeah.
and I know that Coach Wadu wanted El Monte again. But it would have been fun to watch them. But to answer your question, man, to me it was disappointing to see. I wasn't in the locker room to hear what was said. And I can tell you right now, it probably wasn't said go out and start a fight. I'm sure that wasn't what was said.
Right.
But I just think that emotions flew high in that game because of the past years' animosity already.
Mm-hmm.
That a few players reacted a certain way, and then the kids ultimately were going to defend their brothers. And unfortunately, they lost focus of the bigger picture, which is, a team sport. And if you do something negative, for every action is a reaction. So these were your actions, to behave a certain way, to kill events, to get in a fight. Now, CIF unfortunately has rules, so they have to enforce them. It's this different disappointing, man.
It is. Definitely is. So let's okay. Say you were in Coach Wadu's shoes. Say like okay, say you're Coach Wadu, right? And after the fight, your team goes. Your team walks back to the locker room. I know you said it before. You're not yelling. You're not gonna say anything, to discourage them. Well, probably, you'll say something like something will come out of your mouth, but that's an accident. But what are you saying? What? So say that was one of you. You're the head coach, and then it was your team. What is the first thing that's coming out of your mouth walking into a locker room like that?
So the first thing on my mind would have been is, um, first and foremost, is identify all the seniors, make them stand up, get up, because of these actions that you guys were involved in. This was your last game of the season. It could be the last game of the season. This isn't how we react. This isn't how we behave at Atlanta. This is not definitely how we touch you. This is who you are. You're not representing the last name on the back of your jersey. You're representing the name on the front of your jersey,
Right.
which is Atlanta. So I'm telling these kids, look, it's done. It's water under the bridge. So now we have to wait on CIA's ruling. We're going to prepare like we won the game because we did. On the scoreboard, sure we did. But we also have to prepare for the worst case scenario. March is over. We can cry. We can wish the best of it. But ultimately, we made our bed and we have to win. And that's really what it goes down to, Walker, is once again, we're talking about character.
mean, it's a situation to where it's, I'm not telling the kid this because the kid already knows himself. You just stole the ability and the chance to win the CF championship to prove that to everyone in the high desert that it wasn't a fluke the first time. But you also got to be supportive of the kids, man, because you're not the one playing the game. You don't know what's going on in the pile, or in the pile.
Right.
But you go in. I'm not gonna curse up a storm because the kids already feel bad for themselves. The kids are already going crazy already, right? Because they got that, all those testosterone going.
Yeah.
So you want to be the one that's calm, and I'm sure Coach Watt, probably went in there and was probably calm, cool. Was upset, of course. If anybody knows Coach Watt, he'll tell you flat out how what he expects, from you, and when you screw up, he's gonna let you have it.
Yeah.
He's gonna tell you, but it's gonna be a teaching moment, and I'll tell you what, man, that's a huge teaching moment, and I will use that as a teaching moment. You do this here in the football field, it's gonna cost you game.
It is.
If you do something like that out in the real world, it can cost you your life, or it can cost you your freedom. So that's a tough situation to be in. And all my years coaching, that's the first time I experienced it. Well, not seen it.
Wow.
I've seen it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's tough. Yeah.
All right. So I know that we don't want to end the question. We don't want to end this interview on a bad side of football. We want to end this in a good side. So we're gonna ask you one of the best questions in the world. What do you think? How do you feel? Once everything's said and done, once Coachy finally hangs up that shirt, the coaching headset. What's life gonna be like after that? Are you gonna retire from your day job? Are you just gonna continue doing your day job for a little while, then just call it quits and just move somewhere else? Just to enjoy your days, your retirement.
Well, you know what? I think I'm gonna retire my day job. I'm gonna retire my day job. That's about 8 years. She'll be 55. I'll be 51 when I retire my day job. But I think that coaching football, Walker, you never actually finish, or that's never out of your system. You know what I mean?
Right.
You'll always be uncoached. But I'm gonna do my bucket list. I'm gonna travel with Alabama and watch Alabama play football. As you know, I'm a huge Alabama fan.
I knew it. I knew you were gonna do it.
I hate just Clemson Tigers.
Hey, Clemson's the best. I'm just saying.
Right now, you can enjoy saying it right now. But roll time, roll. You already know how that goes. You know me, man. I'm a fan.
Hey, Coach, what happened? What happened in that championship game? You said you were gonna beat us, but we still won. I'm like, come on, Coach! You can't tell me you're gonna beat us, and then you're gonna just throw interceptions the whole time. Come on now.
Hey, man, you know what, man? Clemson, Coach Dabo Swinney is a great coach. They just came out, man. They just came out. They wanted it more.
It was a great game.
I think that Clemson has a tremendous upside still. But let's just be honest with you, man. Let's just be honest. If Clemson is an SEC, they're not going to the championship, dang it. They're in the ACC, one of the weakest conferences in the nation. They're so top heavy, it's crazy. Hey, that's my scapegoat. That's the bad thing I gotta say. Because I can't say nothing else. Goodness gracious, they're a machine over there, man. Goodness.
I remember that one game. I forgot who we were playing, but you're like, "Oh, we're gonna get absolutely destroyed by that team." We absolutely destroyed that team. It went backwards. And you're like,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can't
think
wait.
There was who was it? Was it Georgia? I think you guys might have. Yeah, it was Georgia, right? I think it was Georgia. Yeah. Yeah, man. Or Ohio State, one of those. I forgot which one it was, man. But you guys took it. I mean, you guys really took it to them, man. And that's when I knew, oh man, Clemson's gonna probably be Alabama.
You're
Hey,
like,
roll
oh,
tide, roll, man. Till I die.
you're like, oh no, there goes my money.
Uh, luckily, I don't bet, man. 'Cause you know why? I think that when you bet, you're so interested in how much money you're gonna win or lose that you actually lose focus of the actual game.
Right,
Some people say it actually adds to it. I really don't want to go there with it. I just want to enjoy the game for what it is. And I want to be able to forget about my problems for 2.5 hours, like we talked about earlier,
right,
opposed to thinking, oh man, I'm gonna lose $100 or I'm gonna win $200. Nah, man, I don't want to worry about nothing.
right.
All I want to do is scream and say, "What were you thinking?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was probably what you were doing during the whole Alabama game. I'm over here sitting back in my chair. I'm like, Coach, he's probably yelling at the TV as we speak right now, watching this quarterback
Those
throwing all
pesky
these
Tigers,
interceptions.
man. Okay, well, let me ask you this: do you think they're gonna repeat?
Of course I am. Who wasn't? Who
You
isn't?
really? You think so?
Yes.
Well, that's true. I mean, Lawrence is coming back, right?
Oh yeah,
That
definitely.
kid's coming back. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know, man. I really don't know if they're gonna repeat. But then again, like I'll be honestly talking. The ACC right now, the team to beat obviously Clemson.
Yeah.
But with Ohio State coming up, USC is doing big things. I just hope that we have a college football season to watch
Yes.
with no fans or fans, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So we can forget about this whole coronavirus for 2.5 hours, man. That's
Finally.
that's what I want.
Me too. All right. So I know I said that was supposed to be the final question, but here's an
Bonus.
bonus question. Okay. So Coach E hates the NFL. Starts talking about the NFL. Starts liking it a little bit. What's that about?
Oh wow. Okay. So as you know me, I always told you guys, and I've always said to my student athletes, stop watching pro football because they got the worst technique because they're already there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the same guys keep on making the Pro Bowl over and over and over and over again. Well, I mean, I've always been a Steelers fan.
Of course.
So every now and then I watch the Steelers, and you get kind of excited, and I really got into it with Minka Fitzpatrick landing the Steelers. And I'm gonna give you one guess. Where did Minka Fitzpatrick come from? Alabama. So I watched this guy play for 3 years at Alabama. So of course I'm gonna watch him at the Steelers. So that's how I get into it. So I follow Alabama players. You see how successful they are, what they're doing. Even Auburn players. A friend of mine, Chris Howard, who is a big Auburn fan. Sue Auburn, I hate Auburn. Roll Tide Roll. He's a big Auburn fan. Even some of those players I still watch are in the pros, right?
Right.
Answer your question. It's just football, man. Whenever I'm a football junkie. Whenever I can get football, I watch it. But I can tell you honestly, if you ever watch a college football game and then you go watch a pro game, I believe, in my opinion, the college experience is 100 times better. The fans, the bands, the traditions, you just can't compete to it. In pros, what do you have, son? Just a bunch of grown men playing football. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you got me there. You got me there. Can't lie about that.
Right. Right.
But hey, I'm sorry
So that's the way.
I'm sorry we beat you guys in week 2. I mean, obviously, the boys in blue.
Hey,
Oh wait, I gotta show
I'll
you.
tell you what, man. Hey, so let me ask you this: what's up with the trade rumors of Oh my gosh, what's the quarterback's name again?
Russell. I don't know.
For the Seahawks, Russell Wilson, man. What's going on with the trade rumors, dude?
I don't know. I hope they're not true. I hope they're just misconceptions. I'm like, I seen it, and I'm like, that's
Yeah, I
gotta be
hope so
fake.
too. I hope that's smoke.
I'm like, I'm not trading a good
Yeah.
quarterback. Just to, I don't even know. No.
No,
Heck no.
well, And then here's the thing, though. I mean, the minute you trade your good quarterback, I think the season starts to go down. And also, too, I believe that, let's say, example, with the case of the Kansas City Chiefs, the minute that Patrick Mahomes gets a big payday, I believe the Chiefs are going to suck because you can't pay everybody,
Yeah.
right? So then that's the thing with the pros is the minute you pay somebody a huge payday, the rest of the team starts to suffer because everybody wants a big payday,
Oh yeah.
and you can't retain everybody.
Like
So I don't know, but I really do hope Russell Wilson stays with the Seattle.
yeah, like bye bye Patriots. There goes Tom Brady to the Buccaneers.
Gosh, man, that guy. You know what, man? That guy is he's a phenomenal football player.
I know.
He really is. Tom Brady. It's insane.
I bet you watched him in his
Insane.
college days, didn't you?
Michigan, yes. And you know what? I remember watching him on TV. I want to say on Channel 7 years ago when they're playing Ohio State. And of course, you know, that's a huge rivalry game.
Yeah.
And I think Michigan was behind by 2 touchdowns or so. And Tom Brady came back and beat Ohio State. But yeah, I mean, you watch some good rivalry games, man. And college football, I mean, like I said before, I mean, and I told you this before, and some people think I'm stupid for saying this. College football, I'd rather watch Bowling Green and Mario Encarnacion play than the pro football game sometimes because it's the hits harder and the players are trying to make it somewhere.
Yeah.
Opposed to saying I'm not gonna play because I don't have payday. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Payday is
That's how I feel about it.
payday is just payday is just helping you get a bigger head, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and I know I get it. Football is a rough sport. But I think when you're more focused on a huge payday, I think you lose focus of the fans.
Right.
Opposed to college football, when the kid's giving you a show because he wants to be drafted somewhere. So I just think college football is a whole different experience for me.
Right.
And you know what? Coaching high school football, you see some of the kids that you played against or coached, next level.
There he goes.
Yeah.
College, then universities, probably the NFL too. Who knows?
Right. No, it's a tremendous joy.
Football is a great game.
It is. I mean, it really is. And you know what? We need it back now more than ever.
Yes.
We do.
It is. I mean, besides the fighting, and I'm not talking about Adelanto. I'm talking about the Myles Garrett and Brown.
Well, you leave
Brown.
Adelanto out of it, man. They got nothing to do with it. Poor guys, man. Oh my gosh, Myles Garrett, man, that guy.
That
was hilarious.
Oh my gosh, Mason Rudolph almost got murdered on the field. I'm like, I don't think that CBS is gonna allow this on live television.
But now, okay, now look. Let's go back and then talk about the question you had earlier. You know, Adelanto and Orange Vista fighting. Well, you see in the pros too, a couple of players become unscrewed, and all of a sudden now you get the whole bench reacting to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, it gets to a point where football is a very emotional game, and you're trying to manage, at the high school level, at least 60 personalities. Man, that becomes tough.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it really is.
Now some of those players are suspended indefinitely for a few games.
Yeah, man, that's the tough part. Some of them are done. That was last game.
Yep. You get yourself kicked out, and for what? Just because you think you were right about something, but you're wrong. You're wrong.
Well, I mean, we gotta look at it in a positive way. That's a learning experience for that player. And the learning experience is whatever you do now is going to affect your future. And that's what I tell my student athletes is the decisions you make now are going to affect your future. It might not be today. It might not be tomorrow, but best believe it's going to affect your future. So whatever you do now when nobody's watching, it's going to affect you.
Right.
And it's going to affect you whether you go out there, either you have a community out, and it's going to affect you whether you go vote for someone. It's just the time to where it's, The decisions you make now are going to affect you. Just because you have freedom of speech doesn't mean it'll come with a consequence. You know what I mean?
Right.
So those are the things you need to teach a student.
But hey, again, football is just one of those sports where emotions change all the time.
Yeah, I mean it's such an emotional sport, man, and it's. I mean, for 4 quarters, these kids are beating each other up. You know,
Hmm.
and you also tell them, as a coach, I tell my kids, whatever you had going on in life, whatever is going through your mind in life, whatever your mom's going through, whatever your dad's going through, take it out right now. Take it out right now. So when you go home, you don't got to worry about it. Taking all your emotions out right now.
Right here.
Not as in, beat someone up, like, you know what I mean?
No, but like put all the emotions.
I mean, you know what I'm talking
into, yeah, like put all the emotions into
Right.
play. Go hard.
Right. Exactly.
Knock the wind out of someone in front of you.
Hey, and get up and do it again.
Do it again. Scare the life out of them. That's what we. Hey, that's what we did back when you were coaching us. There was just a lot of angry people.
Yeah.
But hey, we
Yeah, playing angry, man. But playing angry. Yeah.
Playing angry really helped us. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you know what? It's that controlled emotion, right? You have to be able to control it. I tell you guys all the time, it's a controlled anger and it's between the whistles.
Right.
So the minute that ball snaps, you play angry. The minute that whistle blows, hey man, good play, do it again. Always respect your opponent, man.
Always. No matter who you are, that's what I do.
Always.
That's what I do. They say something.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, all right, you keep talking then. You just keep talking, but sooner or later you're gonna have something coming for you. And then you're gonna be the one that's staying calm and collected. I'm saying you can talk all you want about me right now, but later in life when you get hit so hard, you're gonna be like, oh shoot, that's my karma right there. I'm the type of guy, like, if we're playing football and then I'm just saying about any point, you're like, oh, you weak boy. Then next I read in the papers, oh, this man got hit so hard that his helmet came off. I'm like, exactly, sir. What do you got to say about me now? You didn't knock the wind out of me before.
Right. Well, you always want to have a humble approach. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I've always said there's always somebody better than you. You know what I mean? And I mean, so it's very humbling when you actually meet that person. So I mean, talk trash, you can, but when it happens to you, you better be prepared to take it.
Yeah, you better pray to God. You better stop praying to the Lord and Savior.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
my gosh,
it's something, and I know this is not another question, but this is more of like a. So for the viewers that are watching, or I don't even know who's watching because this thing isn't telling me, but for whoever's watching this right now or later, they obviously want to be a coach like you, so, or some of them, because I know that you're probably gonna say you want to start with Little League. So with Little League, what do you think like these young inspiring coaches should do, like even before they start doing a Little League thing? What advice can you give to them?
Well, first and foremost, understand what you're getting into. Coaching football is very demanding, and you got to understand is that you're going in and you're going to impact kids' lives, whether it be for the negative or the positive. I hope it's for the positive. As you know, Moonwalker, my son played football for us at Excelsior.
Yeah.
So now my son's going to graduate college with a criminal justice degree. To me, that's a huge. That's a huge accomplishment. I mean, that kid has worked his butt off, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that you go in and you understand the goals you want to instill in these young men. Because if you're into coaching football because you like to win, then you've already failed. I mean, everybody likes to win.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to win. You know what I mean? But you can win in different ways. not just in the football field. What's going to happen when this kid leaves football? What are the life lessons you taught this kid for 4 years that he's going to take with them to the corporate world or the military or wherever she's going to work? So my advice to them is, if you're married, make that decision with your spouse. If you have kids, make sure you balance your life and coaching environment, right? And have your kids attend football games as much as they can. That way you can spend time with them. Two is understand the position you're going to coach. I've always said, to where it's, if you've never played defense, yeah, you can start up on defense and do certain things, but understand what you do best. To me, I feel the best position I have now is to coach offensive line. I didn't play offensive line, but I feel because I got a great mentor who instilled great things in me, I'm passing them forward. So going back to what you asked me, what can I give advice to these young coaches? The question I would ask is, why are you doing it? Is it because you like to compete, or is it because you want to make a change?
Right.
And if you're doing it because you want to compete, I would ask you to grow a little bit more before you take that job. Because if you're in it just for the winning games, it's easy to lose focus on what you're trying to do, and what you're trying to do is change lives for the positive.
Right.
Because you don't know what these kids are going through. Just because you had a good life or you had a bad life, these young men are going to follow you, and they're going to do what you do outside of the football field. So that's one thing that I would actually ask these guys is, what are you doing it for? Everybody loves football.
Everybody does.
But not everybody can be a coach.
No.
If you're going to be the guy who's consistently cursing up a storm, see, and then here's my biggest thing that I have from it is, I can tell you you're doing something wrong all day, right? But a lot of the coaches that I see are yelling at the kids that they're doing something wrong, but not once that they correct that problem. They're just saying, get there and make that block, get there and make that block, get there and make that block. So if you're that young coach who consistently says, get there and make that block, get there and make that block, but you never address it, what steps to take, what angle to do, and why you're missing that block, then I think you should grow more before you coach high school football. Because now what's happening is you're taking the time to correct the problem. And in life, if this young man makes a mistake in life, you have to be able to really communicate with that person to help him correct that problem, so that it doesn't affect you for the rest of his life. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does.
So that's what I would say is, why are you coaching it? And if you're only there to win games or to show, look, I'm such a great coach, then I would ask you to grow a little bit more before you do it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, don't just start coaching just because it makes you look good. Start doing it.
Right.
If it helps people, then start doing it. If you're not helping people, don't do it.
Right.
We have so many.
Absolutely.
We have so many other people that want to do it for the right reasons, and then people that want to do it for the reasons. There's the right reasons, and there's reasons.
I agree with you. Look at Coach Warbaugh from Apple Valley. That guy, I see his kids at the store, and he doesn't know this, and his kids are so well behaved. I tell him, hey guys, how you guys doing? How's everything going? Oh, great, coach, we're doing great. Someone don't even know my coach. They say, good, sir, good. And he's doing tremendous things in this program. Same thing with Oak Hills guys. Our coach, our guys at Riverside Prep, we try to do the same thing too. So if you're not in it to make this young man's life positive for the next 20 years of his life, then you failed.
Tremendous.
You failed.
You did. There's a lot of coaches that, I don't want to call them out, but there's a lot of coaches, but not up here, but down the hill, that just doing the same thing.
It's everywhere, man. If you actually hear a lot of these young guys, like I'm a huge Coach Saban fan.
Hmm.
And because Coach Saban, what he does is he actually tries to get these kids ready for the real world.
Right.
And if you meet a lot of the coaches in the high desert, that's kind of the same sentiment they have is once they leave your program, they're gonna go to a different program, and you want those young men to represent your program they came from at the most, at the best, right?
Yep.
So it goes back to saying, football isn't about just winning games, dude. You know, um, the best character comes out when you lose a game.
Right.
So how are you gonna react when you lose that game?
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. So that's my advice. That's my advice, Milwaukee.
Good advice. I'm gonna say that. That's good advice. So, do you have any final thoughts on what we talked about today?
um,
Do you feel like you've missed something that you want to redress right now? I'm giving you the opportunity. I'm just saying.
you know what? No, because I'm a firm believer of my mistakes in the past have allowed me to become the man I am now.
Ah, there
Um,
you go.
yeah. So, and I want these young men to learn from my mistakes so that they don't have to make them. Um, I was not a tremendous athlete, but I worked hard. So I want to make sure that football is not only an athletic sport; it's a sport where you actually, a sport where you actually, the harder you work, the more you can accomplish, right?
Right.
So I have no regrets in life. Like I said, I mean, I have tremendous support from my wife, my friends, Carlos especially, he's a good guy, um, and all the coaches I coach for. I mean, I appreciate everything they've done, everything, every single one of them, and all the kids out there who actually played for us, and the parents who allow me to put my foot up the kids' butt. I appreciate everything. I appreciate it, and I enjoy it. I enjoyed every single moment of it, and most importantly, I enjoy watching that kid walking the stage and graduating. So for the class of 2040, I'm proud of you. This is an experience for all of us. One, I'm sorry that you didn't experience the rest of all the graduations classes experience. But I'm also happy that you guys were able to focus and accomplish something that was tremendous. I mean, we're going through a pandemic, and you guys handled it fabulously. So applaud you guys and wish you guys the best in your future endeavors.
That is great. Obviously, what I get from all this, and I know this. It sounds kind of, it doesn't sound like too good, but what I get from this, I think with this whole pandemic thing, I think I'm not just talking about the world. I'm talking about like high school athletes or like college or high school students, college students. If you think about it, I feel like this whole pandemic is because they didn't get to walk. These graduates, 2020, they didn't get to walk. I kind of feel like this pandemic is telling them just to go further. You go that extra mile right now. You want to earn. Let's see how bad you want to earn this walk. I kind of feel like it's a motivation
Yeah.
for these graduates just to go harder. Take it an extra step further.
Well, absolutely. And I can tell you right now, especially for my last thought is before we leave here is, we talked about my son being in college, going to graduate in July, and we also talked about my son who's a freshman at Riverside Prep.
Right.
This whole pandemic has taught these kids to have independent study, not independent study, but to go home and do your classwork with your teachers.
Right.
Well, guess what college work is? College work is your responsibility to get your syllabus and actually do your homework and make sure you complete it, right? Without having somebody on your shoulder in the classwork environment consistently be on your back.
Right.
So a lot of these young men and women from 2020 class got to experience the college world, where you get maybe a couple of minutes interaction, 30 minutes of interaction with your teacher, what your expectations is, and you close, your Zoom class, and you get to work. Um, so it's definitely a something different, something new.
A learning
Um,
experience.
but I also wish that these kids didn't go through it. Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'll tell you what, man. I can't wait this thing to be over so I can go back to Texas Roadhouse and eat a big old steak, dude. I'm tired of this.
Yes, we need to go eat those big steaks. I'm just saying. I
Right.
want to I want to be able to go to a restaurant where the hot ladies are, and just
Oh
enjoy the
my
sight.
gosh, I'm married, so I'm not comment on that.
Sorry, coach, but us young men over here. So
I know.
it's almost time to
I,
get
I,
married.
I, yeah. Well, you know what, man? I'm gonna tell you right now. Enjoy your life. I'm not saying marriage is not fun, but enjoy it. Don't rush into it. Um, because I'm gonna tell you right now, is marriage is not easy.
Oh no.
And I tell this to all the kids, and especially my kids. When you're married, not only do you allow that woman to fall in love with you, or whoever you're marrying, but you're having to make not make, but that's the wrong choice of words. But you're having to have this person consistently fall in love with you for the next 25, 30 years of your life.
Right.
I mean, so it's not just because you hitched that the emotion stopped, the romance stops. When you marry someone, how can you keep that fire going for the next 30 years? And
Exactly.
that's rough.
Mhm.
Well, it's not rough. I'm saying it's enjoyable, but you also got to think about that. Don't rush into marriage.
Mm-mm.
I mean, and enjoy your youth. Okay? Get your education, whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? Get
Enjoy
your
it while you
business
can.
going. Yeah, marriage will come.
It's gonna come sooner or later. However,
Yeah.
however
So
the train goes.
right, absolutely right,
Just
absolutely right.
everybody's got to keep their head up, and that's all you got to do.
Right. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, guys, once again, Coach Mario, the best. He coached me when I did not know a lot about football. Now I think I
Thank you.
have
Hey,
now I think I have a football problem because of him. So you guys can thank him if I'm talking about football all the time. This is the guy this is the guy you're looking for right here. So thank you, Coach, for
football's
giving me.
contagious.
Thank you for giving me an unhealthy addiction to football. It's really changed my life. But Clemson Tigers all the
Hey.
way.
Oh no, you better throw that in the garbage. You better throw it in the garbage.
Nope.
Well, I was honored, and thank you so much. I was humbled to interview with you. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate this time with you.
Oh yes.
Um, so thank you to everyone who's watching or maybe watching this. Thank you for taking the time. For all the student athletes that we had in the past, once again, I love you guys. Stay positive. And if you need anything, you know where to find me. I'm always on Instagram. I'm always on Facebook.
There he is all the time. All right, Coach. Don't hang up just yet because I want to finish things because I want to have a brief conversation with you. But as for the YouTube, we are gonna end things right here because obviously we took a long time, and for the people that are watching and still watching, congratulations, you survived an emotional roller coaster of an interview. I've never had that before, so this
Yeah.
is this is something different. But yes, my first time streaming, so it's different. But yes, I hope you guys enjoy that. I know that you probably have a. I know that a lot of our viewers are, probably having a lot of tissue papers all over the place right now. I'm new to a lot of the sad parts of our interview, but again, that's football, so anything happens.
Right.
But yes, guys, you know where to find me. You know where the subscribe button is. Like the video, share it with your friends. I know it's over 2 hours, but it's a great interview. I'm telling you. I know your friends are gonna like it too. So that's it for me, guys. I'm gonna head out of here. I'm gonna talk to Coach Mario for a little bit, and then that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a great night.